뽑아달라는 사람이 있으면은 뽑아줄 생각이고.
자, 이렇게 해서 C그룹까지 선택이 좀 끝났습니다.
토스나 테란 중에 뽑겠습니다.
한적으로 여기 지금 황병헌 선수가 지금 남아 있거든요.
최근에 생일이었는데 뭔가 오더라고요.
아,
그래가지고 또 오는 게 있는데 가는 게 없으면 안 되기 때문에 안 뽑을 거고요.
오, 제외하고
느낌이 불안합니다. 오늘 뇌물 하나 드릴 걸 그랬어요.
좀 싸거든요 지금. 선물 지금 보내줄게 카톡으로.
야,
좋아하는 동생으로서 그냥 윤철이가 편한 대로 선택했으면 좋겠어요.
야, 여유가 있어요.
이런 얘기를 듣고
네.
못 뽑죠.
얘기해봤자 미안하기만 하고 빨리 뽑는 게 나을 것 같아요.
역시 유영진.
저걸 뽑길래 테란이 둘이 남더라고요. 선물 받았으니까. 받았는데 또 어떻게 그래요?
맞아요, 맞아요.
결국은 선물
그렇지.
때문이다.
지금 이야기 나누고 있어요. 누굴 뽑아도 그냥 죽음의 조다.
테란이나 토스를 뽑으면은 사람이 A조로 갈 것 같단 말이죠. 저그를 뽑아야 될 것 같긴 해요.
3명 남았습니다. 조일장,
네.
이재동, 김명우.
제 1차 상대가 좀 빡셀 것 같아가지고 그게 좀 걸리고 저그 없는 조는 또 괜찮긴 해가지고
일장이가 괜찮다니까 일장이로 하면 될 것 같습니다.
야!
일장이가 괜찮다는데 굳이 싫다는 사람들 뽑지 말고
네.
일장이 데려가면 좋을 것 같아요.
근데 영진이가 마음속에서는 테란을 뽑고 싶은 것 같은데 한번 도박해보는 것도 나쁘지 않지
와!
않나.
테란 한번
야,
뽑아봐라.
뽑아봐라. 승부수를 띄우게 될지. 그는 저기가
오,
이적으로 먼저 뽑았어요.
D4에서 벗어났습니다.
야, D3.
그냥 강해지고 싶어서 뽑아봤습니다.
충격적이네요. 빨리 뽑혀서 좀 기분 좋아요.
둘 중에 한 명이 D4로 가거든요.
그래도 여기를 오고 싶어하지 않을까 둘 다.
김태경이 저를 뽑으면 민철이는 3저그조를 만들 가능성도 있어요. 태경 씨를 일장이랑 바꿀 수도 있습니다. 일단 저를 뽑아보는 것도 좋을 것 같아요. 그래서
명훈이 형이 엄청 잘해요. 비싸게 보내도 돼요, 명훈이 형. 항상 디폰 잘하는 사람들이 모여 있거든요. 저는 아직 거기에 낄 그게 아니라서 명훈 정도면 빅매치로 할만할 것 같아요.
한 명은 그룹 D로 가는데요.
김명훈,
김명원.
그래도 누군가가 뽑았는데 D사까지는 처음인 것 같아요.
지명 완료가 지금 된 상황인데요.
원하는 사람 있으면 바꿔줄 의향은 있어.
거짓말 아니죠? 마음에 안 드는 저거 하나.
저거 한 명이 오거나 제가 저거랑 바뀌거나.
제가 먼저 좀 물어보기도 했어요. 나랑 바꾸는 건 어떻냐.
제가 그 자리에
우승자의 권한 최종 선택. 자, 졸장을
떼고.
자, 어디로 와?
진짜로?
와, 뭐야?
승리.
D4에서 우승자, 준우승자 출신 선수들이 준비한 죽음의 조가 됐습니다.
A조가 편할 수도 있는데 저그다 보니까 좀 불안한 것도 좀 있더라고요. 토스가 있으면 좋지 않을까 해서 물어봤었는데 그렇게 됐네요.
역대급
쟁쟁한
궁금해줘요. 예.
정말 기가 막힌 선수들이
D조 예상했던 대로 됐고요.
어려운 조지만 열심히 준비해 보겠습니다.
Hello and welcome to Group D, the final group of the round of 16 of ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot 6. Stronger, better, clean energy. In yesterday's Group C, Queen and Reign succeeded in snatching up their tickets to the round of 8. Now, with just 2 tickets left on the line, let's have a word with our 4 players ahead of today's bout. Hi, good to see you.
안녕하세요.
First up, seeded player Snow. Hi. Hi.
안녕하세요.
You've been saying this Group D is the hardest group that's ever been formed. Your shoulders must be feeling heavy as a seeded player going into this. How are you doing?
맨날 그래와가지고
Same old. This situation is a given.
생각이 들고요.
But, be it the group of death or not, as long as I do well, I can advance, so I'm not really paying it too much attention. Sounds to me Snow is ready to take on the responsibility. In any case, this is your second season in a row that you're going into as a seeded player. So, with you being you, many people will be expecting you to survive this despite this being a group of death. This time though, the feeling I've got isn't good. I'll just see what happens and go with the flow. I'm curious what resolution Snow's direct pick Rush is bringing to the table today. Hello. Hello.
네, 안녕하세요.
Rush, you wanted Group B or C, but just as the inkling you had, indeed, Group D is where you ended up. Having practiced, how would you rate this group in terms of difficulty? Top, mid, low?
상중하 중에
From my perspective, it's the absolute most difficult. However, having been dispatched to a tough group I then practiced harder, my skill has gone up. If I do my best today, I should be able to advance. It was apparent during the group selection, as right from the start you set your sights on light, that this season is one where you need to go through rigorous training. And with these two strong Protoss players in your group that you need to overcome, can I guess you've come here with some sort of a secret weapon prepared? Oh yeah, I have a few haymakers in the bag. Yeah, I prepared a lot of things. Can I ask which player you've got on your sights? In your sights? I practiced focusing on the first match. I'll make sure to win that one. Looking forward to it based on that answer. Let's greet Hero as well. Hi. Hi. You thought you would get to play comfortably in Group A, but with Sulky's decision, you have been placed in Group D. Let's hear how you prepared. For starters, seeing how these players are really good, I thought it would be interesting, and so practice was also equally entertaining. I'm actually excited getting to meet such good players in a tournament setting. Oh, this is very impressive. Hearing Hero say that the difficulty of this group, in contrast to what Snow said, is actually getting him excited. It must be because a round of 8 without Hero feels unfamiliar. Your nickname is Round of 8 Civil Servant. Are you likewise certain about your chances of making the round of 8 this time? Honestly, I don't think it'll be too easy, but I think that as long as I do well, I can advance. I'll try and advance. Somehow, someway, what I'm getting is a feeling of freedom and confidence. And playing against Hero in the first match will be Mini. Let's say hi to him. Hi. This group selection ceremony, in the end, you did not get picked by anyone and were relegated to D4. How did you feel at that point? The fact I didn't get picked at all means they think I'm the best, which isn't the case. Anyway, I just want to stay confident. Your first game would have almost been against Light, but your first opponent was changed to Hero. From the perspective of a Protoss player whose strong point is PvZ, just like yourself, you'll have a different feel about this group. I personally think the first map is a little better for PvZ rather than PvT. I think this is a better first opponent. Oh, preparing for Hero was easier than if you were to prepare for Light, you say. Okay. The players in this group are involved with each other in so many ways. There's so many things that need unraveling. A tremendous Group D has been formed. A group many dub as being the ultimate level of difficulty, and that is in part because the total number of times these guys made it into the finals, not the tournament itself, the finals, is 10 times. This is what kind of a group this is. Snow, Rush and Hero each have 2 second-place finishes, while Mini has 1 championship and 3 second-place finishes under his belt. This record perhaps contributes to this being called the Group of Death. I wanted to ask about how you guys personally feel about your chances of advancing in first place. Let's hear from Rush. My chances of advancing in first place? Yes. My goal for today is just making it out, not in first place specifically, and I see those chances of me advancing as 50%. Oh, that's actually pretty high. Is that perhaps of the first game and Snow clearly feeling threatened? Rush looks very confident ahead of this first match. He is pretty good. He is pretty good. However, today it's either first place or not at all. If I don't make it in first place, I won't be advancing. So yeah, it's do or die. A player with 2 grand final appearances, and yet he says having to go through the decider match in a group like this will be mentally impossible. And now the guy with a championship amongst us, Mini. What do you think of your chances? I think I'll be advancing in second place. For real? Yes, I want to beat Hero twice. Oh, does that mean you only prepared for the PVZ then? For starters, if Rush made it into the decider match, then that's good. So I only had to prepare a bit more for games against Hero. Hero, Mini just said he would beat you twice. What do you think about that? If I get got once, I think I might lose in the losers match as well. Oh, I see. Yeah, we're meeting, and we're only meeting once. In any case, I will win the first match. My goal is to advance in first place. The first game will be important. The first match being a best of one, I'm sure you will both pour your heart and soul into it. Now, one more interesting thing about Group D is this I beat you, you beat me relationship. It's like going in circles. Snow is 5-1 against Mini on the ASL stage. Mini beat Rush to get his first championship run. Both times Rush made it into the finals, he beat Hero in the round of 4. And Hero, this needs no repeating, he is just the best Zerg at beating Protoss in the ASL. Hero is 9-2 against Snow and 7-3 against Mini. Is this circular relationship going to continue, or is the streak going to be broken today? This is one point to look out for. I wonder which player you guys feel the most reluctant about. Hero? This is old data from way back. Snow is doing really well nowadays, and Mini is a demanding opponent in tournaments. That's just a fact. They're both... yeah, they're both going to be tough. Hero feels apprehensive about ZVP, even though he is leading head-to-head. What about you, Snow? For me, I find the mirror demanding the PvP, even though I'm winning in statistics, but in the end it's 50-50. You can lose at any given time. In any other matchup, if I do well, I can win, but in PvP, even if I do well, I can still lose. It seems difficult. It sounds to me you guys are hoping to steer clear of Mini then. This being the group of death regardless of what matches we end up with, it is sure to be quite entertaining. Let's hear our players' motivations to close things out. Snow? There's no turning back, I'm going all in. Can't wait, Rush? Given how I prepared, I'll make sure to advance today. Good. Hero? I will advance with interesting matches. Looking forward to it. Mini? I too will do my best and show exciting games. Can't wait to see great games from the four of you. Thanks for the interview. You're watching ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Ro.16. Stronger, better, clean energy. As only 2 spots remain in the round of 8, which players will stay afloat and keep fighting in ASL Season 19? Let's start Group D of the round of 16 and find out.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Group D. This might be one of the craziest, most epic, hardest to predict ASL days out of the 19 seasons that we've had here.
Yeah, this is probably the strongest group really ever. I'm sure people will try to remember back to like the Action, Flash, Jadong, whoever group, but like honestly, this looks like a top 4. When's the last time that you saw Rush be the weakest player in a group? Is he the weakest player in the group? It's unbelievable. It's like Mini has been like the most consistent Protoss in ASL. Hero's been the most consistent Zerg. Rush has been the most consistent Terran. And Snow is the best non-ASL player that we have. Like, how else do you even put this? It's insane. Anything can happen here.
I think anything can happen. The game should be insane. I think this is, a lot of times in groups, players will withhold strategies they might use in the round of 8, especially if they think they're favored to win the whole thing because they have to bring out their strongest stuff in the round of 8, round of 4, and finals. But I think for each of these 4 players in Group D, they have to bring their absolute best, as this very well may be the hardest group for each of these, or the hardest phase, I should say, of the tournament for each of these 4 players. They are going to be filling in these last 2 slots. Right now, we've only got 1 Terran. If Rush makes it, we've got 2. There's a realistic chance Rush doesn't make it. We could end up with 4 Zergs here. We could end up with 4 Protosses, actually, just depending on how this group goes down.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. But yeah, the best would obviously be like a Protoss and Terran getting out.
Right.
I will tell you, if Hero doesn't get out, for me, that would probably be the biggest surprise, but not even that big a surprise because all 3 of these guys are of the same level as Hero. But I do put Hero as probably the 2nd strongest player in the world right now. Like, he is unbelievable. He's like just sulky -1, you know?
Exactly. Hero, from all the games I cast of him, I'm always ready to see him move on. It's very rare that you see him flounder in any game. He's got almost perfect play. But, I mean, in this group, it's going to be crazy, man. I also would very much welcome a PvP here with Snow and Mini to just kind of see what that would look like, where the state of that mirror matchup is when you have the 2 of the best Protosses of all time duking it out in a very pivotal group. I think the results could be anything. Any player could advance. Any player could get knocked out. It's going to be brutal.
Yeah, and I do have to say, like, I really hope Rush makes it. 1 Terran in the round of 8 is rough. So yeah. I'm very much hoping that Rush can squeeze this one out. I think, you know, obviously just for racial balance, if we get like Rush and Mini or Rush and Snow, that's going to be the best that we can really do at that point. But yeah, could be literally anything. It's the hardest thing to predict. If anyone thinks they know what's going to happen here, you're insane. Because it's just going to come down to what strategies they choose and who's really dialed in today. Because every one of these guys can kill each other.
Yeah, no matchup here should be easy for one player. Like, each of these guys has to be doing a nod of respect to every opponent in every game here. So I'm very, very eager to see what they're going to be bringing here. These matches today are going to have a massive impact on how all the matchups are played on ladder. Well, almost all of them, you know, not TVT and ZVZ, but a lot. I mean, everybody from every race is looking in this group and interested in seeing what the results are going to be. Sometimes we have a group, but it's like it's 3 Terrans and a Zerg, you know, or even 4 of one race, in which case we just have one matchup. You know, we had that yesterday. We had just one matchup for all of Group C. It was PVZ all the way through. A lot of fun if you're a student of that matchup. But each of these guys is basically at the forefront of their respective race in Group D. So a lot of people are going to be tuning in here to kind of see, get their finger on the pulse of what kind of build orders are going to be working on these maps, a lot of which are on the ladder now. It's going to be an exciting day. And we're going to open this up with Snow versus Rush.
Yeah, that's a ridiculously good match. Hard to say how that'll go. Rush definitely has some of the best Terran versus Protoss. There was definitely a time, like maybe a year and a half ago, where I'd be like, yeah, Snow's going to win this because he was at the highest win rate we've ever seen for professional Protoss versus Terran. But the whole metagame of the matchup has shifted because of his strength. Rush is very good at the matchup, and I think that this could be just a really nice, fun game. But Metropolis, it feels to me like it was made for Snow. He's a Reaver carrier guy. This is a Reaver carrier map.
Yeah, Snow will occasionally not go for carrier tech. He's done some, crazy alternative tech here, but you're basically right. I mean, he's more inclined to go Reaver than anybody else in the matchup. Looks like we're ready to get into this, guys. Starting the final group today in Group D, this is Snow versus Rush. Okay, in the bottom left here is Snow, and in the top left is Rush.
I want... oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would just want to
please
amend what I said there, because I've actually watched Metropolis a lot, and I've played Metropolis a lot. And, you know, I mentioned Snow as a Reaver carrier guy. That is probably his strongest play, but I actually think right now in the metagame, this is the weakest carriers have been in a while.
Yeah.
So I do want to amend that I'm actually not entirely sure that this is that carriers would be the best thing to do here. Like if you get any sort of lead, carriers can be fantastic, but actually we've seen recently Terrans have gotten very good at pulling the trigger correctly against carriers, so they're a little bit out of meta. So I'm not like expecting that out of Snow, but if you look at the layout of the map, this is a map for many years that we would have called a carrier map. Carriers are not a big part of the metagame right at this moment.
And they may come back into style, and some of that's
Surely,
dependent on how the Terran is approaching the game, how aggressive do they want to be.
Yeah.
You know, or how greedy do they want to be, as an example. You know, Snow, a lot of the games he goes carrier, he does it in a very safe fashion. It's basically just, you know, the end game tech he's trying to build into, and usually take advantage of the positioning of the map. Arbiters, I think, you know, this map has these very large mains, which means it's pretty hard to stop Arbiters from getting in there. Even if you were to fill the exterior perimeter of your base with turrets on one side, they could always try to go through the middle or go through another side. So it's tough to deal with. And there's a lot of space inside the main to fill up with mines. You know,
That's
these
right.
smaller main bases, you kind of have enough turrets. You know where the units would recall in, and you have the mines placed there. Not saying it's necessarily going to be that, but it's something to watch for. Also, I think double robo play, which is basically the newest way to play this matchup, could be very strong here.
Sure.
Because you could probably start to mass drop their main and do stuff to the Terran before they're able to really get that ring of turrets entirely.
Yeah.
So, you know, also double robo play, where you're going mass shuttles with speed and dropping, you know, Templars with Storm and Reavers early on. That is one way to overcome a Terran that's going to rush up to one of these, you know, 12, 6, 3, 9 o'clock expansions and try to just like turtle up there.
Yeah.
A big mass unload there can be very strong. So we'll see. And, you know, we might not even get into a late game situation on this map. This could be a short one, but I think for both you and I, Tastosis, we've been pretty interested in seeing exactly how the very best players in the world try to approach this matchup on this map when it matters more than anything else in their careers.
Indeed. I have a lot of thoughts on that. I do want to just go over these builds real quick. It was kind of an interesting adjustment on a gasless expansion here from Rush. He actually scouted on 11, same time as he made the barracks. So that's a quicker scout than we normally see with this build order. So that's a little bit adjusted, but he's getting his command center super fast, and he found Snow first, which is huge for him because he recognized, okay, there's no Zealot being made. It's a tech opener. So Rush, like right now, looking at it, it's a great opener for him. This looks fantastic, and he hid the SCV really well. Look at this. He gets to go into the main base. He's going to check. Range is on the way. Man, he's got so much information right now. But it looks like we're probably going to have a proxy robo here from Snow. So if I had to guess, this is going to be some range pressure on the front into a very quick Reaver drop.
Yeah, you know, we don't see the technique of the SCV hidden behind mineral patches that expansions used ever.
Yeah.
It's like it's a little tactic that was figured out early on, and almost all players will just check behind their minerals for it. But I guess when you look at the way this map is shaped, there's enough space back there. People are probably worried they would check back there and maybe an SCV would run into the main. So almost like a counterintuitive technique here from Rush allowed him to scout in the main and confirm that it was Dragoon range. But this proxy robo could be very tough to deal with. I think it's basically going to be Dragoons with range firing at the bunker and probably trying to scare Terran into siege mode, and then an elevator maneuver up into the main where there's this big vacant area just to the left where that Dragoon is. But, you know, I do feel like when these backfire, they backfire horribly.
Yeah, this is the type of situation that Snow is going to be good at, though, because we see it's a 2-factory opener, which is the most common with a gasless expansion. If Rush goes for Vulture upgrades and tries to do, like, let's call it a 3-tank pressure, which is probably the most common thing to do after a gasless expansion, Snow is going to be able to counter harass with the Reaver before the attack hits him. Okay, because this is timed out like very tightly. But there is an eBay. If he's and I believe he's going siege right now. If he goes siege and just makes a few turrets, it should be advantage towards Rush. But if he tries to attack, it should be advantage towards Snow.
It almost looks like Snow's going to try to wall off in his main that little thin area that connects the big opening at the top of his base with the bottom. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very interested if he decides to go for that. You know, with the way the players are going to try to handle these large open areas where they a lot of times can't even see everything inside their entire plateau that they're on is pretty interesting.
That is a really well-timed turret right there. I like how this is looking right at this moment for Rush. Not that Snow's position is like terrible or anything. A couple vultures will sneak out. Oh my god, he's going to scout the robo right away.
Oh my god, he's going to block this with the zealots.
Yeah, this is actually completely okay. Like, just put as much damage on the zealots as you possibly can here. But he sees exactly the timing and the plan of Snow. So he can just build a few more missile turrets, lay some good mines down, and you can't imagine this Reaver doing anything.
Oh,
oops.
He's going to eat a mine shot. The vultures are going to try to come down from the side. This is like a perfectly placed turret. He can unload the Reaver. He could try to take some shots onto the tanks. He needs to get rid of the turret on the side here. He needs to try to gain access a little bit deeper in here. The vultures are going to get in, and I think they might be able to get into the main. No, a really good block over there. He's going to deny that.
He's getting a very good amount of probes, though. He does pick off like 3 probes, 4 probes maybe, and he has built a secondary turret back here. He is probably going to need even a 3rd turret, and Snow does a great job of splitting that one tank off. That is brutal. And look at this. He targets down the turret really, really quickly. He's picked off yet another siege tank. Dude, this is why Snow is so scary. Everything looked good for Rush. Most Terrans would feel very comfortable there against Reaver, but he breaks down the front door.
I'm learning so much just watching this. The fact that he knew to target the SCVs over there instead of the tank in the back, and then basically thin that out so the Zealots could charge in. And again, I mean, this is the best Reaver user in the world. Like, he does stuff we just don't see other players ever get away with. His decision-making, even on just where to send the shuttle. Like, he could have gone to the natural, he could have gone forward. He's trying to figure out, okay, where's the best move? He can try to come in here once more. He goes for the SCVs, and I think this is going to dud.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good pull there from Rush. I got to tell you, Tasteless, this is a weird feeling to me. I'm actually getting chills from how good he's doing with this Reaver, and I want it to fail so badly so that Rush can make it to the round of 8. But, like, unbelievable watching it. Dude, there's layers of turrets. You know, he's got mines at the front. He's got tanks. You know, his siege mode, of course, finished a little bit later. But the fact that he's pushing through 2 turrets, forcing the tanks to split by utilizing ground units, everything about it was really good. I think the only thing Rush could have done better is instead of having a bunch of mines in the front, because he laid like 4 mines in the front or so, he should have had a couple in his main base, so that moves like what Snow did there could backfire. So I think just a tiny mistake from Rush, and Snow instantly capitalizes. And Snow's ahead here. Snow's ahead here. This looks good for him. He's got a bunch of gates. He's getting his 3rd base. He's got the Reaver flying around. The game, of course, isn't over, but he got some solid damage, and he should be happy with how this has gone so far.
Yeah, he's getting his gateways up now. You know, there's still a little bit of a weak area over here inside the main. You know, he could come up to the top right side and try to get some damage off over there. The vultures are going to run around. I'm not sure if there's a block down here or not. It looks like the observer's really interested in seeing if there's going to be, you know, anything that's going to, mine-wise, that's going to hit those Dragoons. Now he comes back up here, and this is, you know, fundamentally what is challenging for players in their main bases on here, is that it's so hard to protect all of that. So he takes the depot out. He backs up just in case Goliaths were barreling towards that position. They weren't, by the way. And he might even try to come in here for another double drop. I think shuttle speed should be done. We have no way of knowing if that's been upgraded, but a lot of times, especially on a map like this, it only makes sense to get shuttle speed.
It'd be amazing to see Snow not get shuttle speed. It's just like an upgrade that works so well with the style. And there it is. He does have it now. Double shuttle going to be diving in. There's no spider mines up here, which is an issue. He does take 3 shots from that turret before unloading his Reavers to take it out. That died in 1 volley, so I think he has the plus Reaver attack, but not entirely sure. Maybe that had taken damage before, but yeah, the Reaver's now pushing in. The Zealots coming out and tanking some shots here. So well done. And of course, he picks up the Reavers really well. Dude, his micro is just unbelievable.
It's crazy, man. Now, eventually Terran kills us off, and you don't really want to trade a Reaver for a tank. I mean, always killing a tank is good, but the Reaver, you just want to keep that alive for as long as humanly possible. He killed some Goliaths, SCVs. He did a lot of damage. And he kept one, he kept both shuttles alive here. So he can recycle this again and try to get back over here. It's going to be fairly easy for Protoss to stop Terran from taking 12, but the base down here is really the most important one, because Terran wants to try to force their way up here in Turtle, and speed shuttle play is so strong here.
Yeah, it makes it really, really tough for Rush. Now, Rush hasn't started a third command center yet. He may actually be planning, because there's been so many trades, to try to do an attack. I don't think that would actually end up working in this. In this case, the Citadel's been up for a while, and I don't think he can move out before there's a lot of speed zealots ready, even though he has like an okay factory count here at 6. But yeah, I actually missed as they went over the Scarab thing if there was plus damage there. But anyways, the Vulture goes into that third base, going to get a little bit of harassment. I think Rush is going to set up a third. If he attacks here, I just can't see him winning.
Is he on 7 factories?
He's on 6.
He is.
He's on 6.
Okay. Yeah, because I think if you're on 7, you're just not expanding.
Yeah.
6, you can kind of try to push out. I think he's not going to try to expo here. I think he's going to try to take a fight. This is going to be tough. I mean, speed shuttles, when used correctly, especially when you're very tank heavy, even a couple Goliaths, I mean, that helps a little bit, but all you have to do is get on top of the tanks, and that's what we're going to see here right now. He's going to continue to unload these zealots over here. He's looking for an opportunity to try to just get one Reaver out. He gets it out. He unloads it again. Oh, my God. These shots are going to be insane. He completely wipes that army.
Yeah, this is not looking super great here for Rush. He's lost so many siege tanks. And Snow's taken his 4th base during this. Just absolute mastery of the matchup from Snow. I really, you know, the 5 and 6 fact plays are not working that well anymore, and the fact that he has really gone for this, like, the thing is, he kills a lot of Snow's army, but this is always better for Protoss. At this stage in the game, to wipe the tanks is a Protoss advantage 99 times out of 100, and this time included in those 99.
It's especially hard if you lose all your tanks and Vultures and you have to start over again, and they still have Reaver tech they're using.
Yeah.
Because Vultures just get exploded by Reavers. They're just not good. And eventually extra shuttles, and this was basically double shuttle. We lost the Robo at the the proxied location, but he has so many different ways to come through here now and clobber tanks and take them out. And Terrans basically had to recede all the way back to where they started out in their main. So, I mean, I think this map, it's easier to expand to certain locations next to you than other maps, but, you know, with the shuttle play, I think it's just as easy for Protoss to immediately come reclaim that.
They definitely can bust positions really quickly. You have to be turtled really quite well, but even that doesn't stop all the damage that can occur from these drops. Rush is getting his 3rd command center. It's almost done, but of course this is like a very, very late 3rd. This is like, oh, everything else has failed. I have to make a 3rd base type situation. And unfortunately, like you can see Snow, he's already got that advantage from clearing everything before, and he just immediately charges in here, getting some pretty decent Scarabs, and he's going to clear so many tanks again. And resetting that tank account over and over is just death for Terran.
I feel like he fires faster than other Protosses. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just like, is there like a way that you could make the Reaver fire a little bit quicker? Like he just gets these shots off. You know, it's funny. I think like a lot of people who started playing StarCraft way back in the day, in my head, I was always like, well, you drop on top of the tanks, right? And you know, usually it was Zealots, but you could do it with a Reaver. The tank can't hit what's in front of it, and then the Reaver gets a shot off, you know, with everything around that area. But he's so good at this technique of basically running in with the Dragoons and Zealots, and as the tank fires, he unloads the Reaver, shoots a shot, and picks it up, because he knows he can drop a Reaver, fire, and pick it up in between a siege tank shot.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's very hard to do. I mean, if you're not fast, you drop too soon or you pick up too late, you lose the Reaver. But he's so good at this that he can basically fire these Scarab shots in here and take exchanges and push through Terran, sieged up positions so well.
And yeah, it's just, it's so masterfully done. To watch Snow do it is, just awe-inducing. Really, no one quite functions the Reaver like he does. And, he's so far ahead at this point. he's just going to run over Rush. Like, this same exact thing is going to happen over and over, where Snow just comes up and aggressively trades, and he's just expanding during this. He's playing basically a perfect PVT. You know, it's so funny to watch this, because I think that Rush really only made one tiny mistake and one decent-sized mistake, and Snow makes it look so one-sided. Rush got a great opener there. You know, I think he should have had some mines in his main base to counteract the Reaver play. I think that was the small mistake he made at the beginning, which allowed Snow to get some damage. But attacking, as soon as he saw that first Speed Zealot come up, like, that's how Protoss holds. If they have Zealot legs, you should just cancel the push. The win rate of the push goes so far down once Zealot legs are done, and especially against Snow, who's just going to manhandle you with the Reavers.
Picture of Snow.
Such a troll, man.
So it's also the silhouette of a Reaver. You can just blank this out.
He makes great shadow puppets of Reavers.
Yes. This is, this I guess was probably the most punishing move of all here.
This just doesn't work.
Look, I love this. He unloads. He's very careful, and he has 2 Reavers in here. But watch what he does. He waits for the shot, picks up, then he unloads again. He doesn't, just try to always unload 2 if he doesn't think he can get the shot off. And these Reavers are just getting such an absurd amount of damage. And the moment that they get targeted, he picks up, and the tanks reset back onto a Dragoon. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine Snow ever losing PvT.
Yeah,
there.
it is.
Guys, we got a short break. Coming up next, a ZVP. It's going to be Hero versus Mini. We'll be right back.
우주급 텐션, 최고의 토킹, 핫식스 토킹.
All right, guys, let's get into this PvZ. Snow already with a dominating performance, a reminder of why he is the greatest PvT player in the 25-year history of StarCraft 1. Today is no exception. But now we're going to switch matchups and obviously switch players. Hero versus Mini. Tastosis, I almost feel like Hero might be slightly favored here. What do you think?
Yeah, I favor Hero against probably everyone in the world. Like, maybe there's some ZVZ matchups that I wouldn't do that, but like, yeah, Hero is the guy. That being said, this is the perfect matchup for Mini in a best of 1, because when we're like, oh, I don't know if he should be taking this risk in a best of 1 in the round of 24, and he'll be playing someone that he's much better than, clearly. He is perfectly suited for a best of 1 against Hero, Sulky, players like that. where he can predict what they're going to do reasonably well and bring something that is unbelievably dangerous to go after them.
Yeah, Mini is a very crafty player, very abusive player. He's very hard to predict, but I think just going for a very conservative build order isn't going to help you a lot, if that makes sense. You know, a lot of the players that are unpredictable and it could be cheesy or could be weird, there's a way to kind of play guarded and do kind of low risk taking openers and be safe. But I feel like he's so good at cutting corners and so creative, it's just hard to know what kind of game you're going to get yourself into.
Yeah, he's he is so unpredictable. He's like predictably unpredictable, and you know he's going to take some sort of risk. Honestly, I think you should generally play kind of aggressive against Mini. But anyways, we're going to get into Metropolis here. Best of one, Hero versus Mini.
Okay, cross spawns here. Hero in the very bottom left, and Mini here in the top right.
I gotta point this out right now. They had that stat at the beginning. This is season 19 of ASL. So out of 18 ASLs that have happened, Hero was in the finals twice and the round of 4 5 times. 7 out of 18 he's had a seed in ASL. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. That is like, what is that, 40% or something? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been so consistent. From the day we came back to StarCraft 1 all the way up to now, he's just always a threat. You know, Flash saying that he was maybe the smartest player at times, you know, that he talks to.
Yeah.
You know, he's really, really scary, and I think he knows how to approach the game in a way that is safe for him. You know, when he's aggressive, it looks like it's always the right move. When he's conservative or cheesy, it always looks like the right move. Anyways, Mini's going to go for a gateway expand, and he's not scouting after the gateway.
Love it. I don't know why he's doing that, but I just love that it's something different.
Yeah, we're like, this is a moment in our cast where we're like, oh, we don't know what he's doing, but it's so good. I promise you guys that. He's so smart for not scouting. And he still hasn't scouted. I believe the pylon started to. I mean, the second pylon, of course. But a blind gateway first. I think I've literally never cast this before.
That's crazy. That's
Have
very
you seen
exciting.
This before? I don't.
No, I haven't seen it with no scout. And this is funny because, like, you know, I cast like a ton for my casting channel on YouTube and stuff, and like sometimes there'll be something different, like they don't scout or they scout earlier, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, I haven't seen this, and people make fun of that, but it's like, no, guys, this actually makes a huge difference. He doesn't know where Hero's at. Okay, he does not know where Hero's base is, and he's gonna make a zealot. So what do you do? What do you do with the zealot? There could be lings on the way.
I don't know.
Hero could have 7 hatcheries.
Scout
like
with the zealot.
Oh,
How
man.
does this make any sense?
You got me.
He keeps it out in front. This is so interesting. This is like we're actually seeing the whole matchup change right now. So just to be clear, before this game picks up, gateway expands. You know, they were popularized. I don't know exactly when, because we were casting StarCraft 2, but we came back and we saw these crazy gateway expands, and they let you control the game because you could rush your opponent, you could hide zealots. But in this case, he doesn't care what he's up against. He has one zealot out in the front. He keeps a second one in the back. Now, you do this normally in a very defensive posture, but think of how many more probes he's getting because and workers and everything because he can't be like rushed, or you know, he isn't rushing or scouting with a probe. So he just basically has enough to hold this. Thank God it wasn't a 9-pull. But then again, I guess people don't really 9-pull speed ling anymore in pro matches.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to mention the place he stood the zealot. I feel like you might be able to see the angle the lings come in from. Like, you know, are they coming from the left, the bottom right, or the bottom left? Well, I guess we'll see as he's moving zealots down. But yeah, anyways, to what you were saying, and yeah, he is actually going in the right direction. It looks like he knows exactly where the third should be, and he's just going to it. Even one worker, guys, makes a huge difference in your economy at this level. And we talked about it, I think, yesterday about how Mini actually plays in single player and gets unbelievably optimized builds, and this is one of those.
I've just never quite seen this build. I shouldn't say the build, the concept behind it.
Yeah.
We've seen Gateway expands all the time, but he's just powered up so many more workers. He knows he can run behind and basically plug this up with 2 zealots and make it very uncomfortable. Now, Hero has gone for Hydras, probably for a bust up here. Unsurprisingly, anytime the game gets chaotic, a lot of Zergs like to just go for the Hydra bust and try to punish. Mini did go for gas before Forge. He's actually accumulated a decent amount of gas.
Tasteless?
And I'm very... Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to ask you some questions here because we literally talked,
please.
I think, yesterday about how important it is to keep the probe alive and scout what's going on so you know if 3-hatch Hydra's coming or whatever. He literally hasn't scouted the probe still. He hasn't even attempted to check tech. He's playing the only thing he knows is that there are at least 2 drones and 8 Zerglings on the map right now in this hatchery. That's literally all of his information. Like, how do you do this and counter the Hydra bust that's coming? Does he just have this optimized so well? He has a Robo coming, Tastosis. He's going to go Reaver. Oh, my God. Tastosis, Reaver Corsair. You got to stream some StarCraft so people can tell you to hold Hydra bust with Reavers because that's exactly what we're going to watch.
This is wild. Blind Reaver tech. Now, he's going to see the first Hydra hatch, so he knows what he's up against. I don't know if he wants to send his zealots away. I'm not talking about the ones on screen here, but the ones on the mini-map that are southbound. He's basically buying time there. But yeah, I mean, he didn't know if this was going to be Mutas necessarily or what. He does have a Corsair that's coming across the map. And I guess there's no sunken colony here, so these zealots are going to do a decent amount of damage, and maybe he could even try to transfer some of this damage onto the drones like he's doing right now.
Oh my God, he got 2 drones during this. He's scouted everything at this point. He can add his cannons. He's going to get into Reaver. I just don't even know what to say. It's just such a wild, different situation from anything I'm used to watching.
And, you know, he's using the Corsairs to kill the Overlords because he doesn't need to scout because the Zealots basically spotted the Hydralisk for him, so he could start to get Overlord kills. Hero's supply blocked, by the way, which I don't think I've ever seen in any of his games in the last 19 seasons of ASL. That really just doesn't happen to him in these kind of situations, but it's happened here now. The Hydras will come up, and I think that Mini should be fine. He went with a traditional block, but I think there's just enough cannons. Far away enough that he should be okay.
Yeah.
He did go for shuttle before Reaver. So there's a Reaver that's started right now, presumably. The Forge is going to go down. And he even actually snuck one Zealot over here, so he can get a kill on this drone.
That's wild. He's already hurt the economy so much.
He doesn't have a pylon covering all this. There's actually only one pylon kind of far in the back, but if he shot the pylon in the front, I think the rest of the cannons would be unpowered enough it could be fatal.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
We never see that in StarCraft 1. The pylons have much more health than the StarCraft 2 pylons. Targeting them down is almost never correct. But maybe in this case it could be.
Yeah, they changed the pylons in StarCraft 2 to be a lot more squishy. They can be popped like balloons, if people get in there fast enough. In StarCraft 1, I think they were aware that could be really hard to fight, and maybe it would break their game, so they took a different route and made them a little bit more tanky.
because the warp
You do have games where people unpower them.
Yeah. Pretty rare in StarCraft 1, though. Now, he has the shuttle, and he's sending his first Reaver out. This is insane to watch. I can't believe he's bringing something so new here against Hero in a best of 1. But this looks strong,
Fast
man.
Expand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen Fast Expand where you do a surprise Reaver play and kind of try to almost sucker punch the Zerg with it, especially against Hydra Tech. But, Hero, he should know to get Burrow versus this. He should know to basically just play defensively. When you go for this kind of Reaver Tech, you really don't have anywhere near as much to work with as far, because the Templars are so far away. And, I mean, he can't really pick this up now. Yeah, he snipes that. And this, you know, there's a reason why Reaver isn't the default and why Templar Tech is. You know, if this was easy to do or necessarily extremely strong, we just always see Reavers every game, and we'd be losing our minds when Mini went for Templars or DTs early on. So, I mean, I'm still very impressed with the opening from Mini, the blind play. You know, basically sending the Zealot out on the map to just sort of see where the Lings come from and confirming that they're going to be from that angle and playing a game from there. But, I mean, this is still such a different approach from Mini.
It's really exciting to see. Like, you know, it feels like he kind of blundered the Reaver. Like, that definitely did not give the value he was looking for. Maybe it would have been better to just pull back at that point, but here's another one, and we'll see what he can get done. I think, you know, with shuttle speed, you can just always escape if you're being smart about it. And that's, you know, he's going back, and this is more what I wanted to see, is just kind of like grinding the Hydras down a little bit, right? 15 minerals for a Scarab, and you just take out a Hydra with each one.
Yeah, with shuttle speed, if you're good, you can basically shoot, pick up the Reaver, and then run away and fire again, and it's almost impossible to pursue, because you'll just always get shots off. Exactly what he's doing here. It's so hard to deal with. He's also got the Corsairs out on the map. Looks like he's going to go for the eggs here. This is a lot of Corsairs, man. You know, it's funny. You don't oftentimes see when there's been a Hydra opening and no very fast layer. You don't see lots of Corsairs made, but this is a game where he did make a lot. So these Hydras really have to respect the Corsairs and go back and cover those Overlords, because 6 or 7 Corsairs can obliterate all your Overlords, especially when they're stacked up at the natural, which is where they're always at in this phase of the game.
Well, he's going to drop a Reaver here into the back of the natural and get an insanely good Scarab there, and he's going to kill the Scourge as well. Oh my god, so well done. Mini is getting really far ahead, it feels like, with this right now.
You know, now that I am reminded of the main and the position of the natural, I'm kind of going, oh, that's why he went for Reaver, because this is just a really abusable map with Reavers. You know, it's not a little tiny, narrow natural like you'd see on Fighting Spirit, for instance. Like, there's this whole big space back here that you can kind of run behind, take pot shots, and then leave. And look at this. He's going to kill some Overlords. He's kind of running in circles around Hero. And we have the Templar Tech up. So while Mini's doing all this, he is going to power up onto 2 very strong, robust bases. He could take a third. He could go for a push. We don't really know. He's going to show us that in a second.
It looks like he's going into Storm here. He's got Templar Archives. He's banked up an unbelievable amount of gas, and he's like taking a third base. It's hard for me to imagine Mini losing from here. His Reaver play is doing fantastically. Yeah. He's slowing Hero down a lot. Hero sends Hydras across the map and delays the third base, or denies the third base of Mini, which, yeah, great to see. But how are you actually going to deal with this when he walks out with an army that has Psystorm in it as well?
That's the big question. You know, you're supposed to burrow Hydralisks and basically pop them out when the Reaver comes in there. So there's no way to you know, check the ground and figure out if you're safe or not. The shuttle eventually goes down. He does have 2 Reavers and probably 1 shuttle remade already. Yeah, back at home like that. So that when it's time for the push, he can do the same thing. And this push, by the way, is going to look a lot like the stuff that Snow did to Rush, where he, you know, unloads the Reavers, fires shots, pushes in with the Zealots and the Corsairs, and keeps going.
It's so awesome to see the completely different styles of top Protosses. Rain refuses to make a Reaver no matter how late the game goes, and Mini makes them at the beginning of the game. All right, let's go. Completely different PVZs here. A lot of Speed Zealots going into this third base. Dude, this is going to be... This isn't even going to end with a bang, I think. It's going to be a whimper from Hero. He's just taking so much damage everywhere. What do? He's out of position at every moment.
Yeah, he's got to pick up that Reaver. He does. He keeps that alive. If he can keep the juggling going, he's going to be fine. You know, a Hydra range here is just not going to cut it. He's going to try to come in from another side. If your God tier is Zerg, you wait until the 5th Scarab or 6th Scarab shot, because then they're in reloading mode.
Yeah.
And that's when they start to be stifled. Now, the mutas are going to be out, but I mean, there's Corsairs here. And, you know, Reavers and Shuttles, they can actually tank a lot of hits from the mutas, so they can basically ignore them for a little bit. Now, the Shuttle's been shot down, and Mini's going to try to come in here and basically punch Hero in the nose, try to come in and do some serious damage. There's a lot of drones back here. There's a lot of Hydras. There's an Evo chamber that he can target. Can he get a shot off in here? I think the Zealots might just block it enough. He isn't able to do it.
this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. This is so
Oh my God! He killed
one-sided.
3 hatches.
Dude,
He killed 3 hatches.
Yeah, he killed 3
I don't know.
hatches, the drones.
It was like I was aware during the fight that was going to go down. That's half the Zerg's production. So now he's got to push, finally. I'm also very intrigued that he just sent Zealots, Corsairs, and a Reaver out and kind of stayed back and banked Dragoons, and I'm sure he's getting High Templars. There's
he has
one I
High
saw.
Templars. He has them.
Corner.
Yeah. Like, this is just not going to end well. Hero's going to GG pretty soon, I think. Like, this game is over, man. 67 supply to 146. Mini setting up an additional base. He has completely dominated this with a scoutless build where he countered the most scary rush in the game easily. Oh, my God. So one-sided.
I have never seen Hero get thrashed like that.
Never.
And by the way, I've never casted a Gateway first, no scout with a pro build. I've never seen that.
Look at the smile.
I've never seen that, man. I can't. I have learned so much from watching that.
Tasteless. Here's the thing. Here's the thing I'm worried about. What you've learned today, if you try to do this on the ladder, it's not going to go the same that we just
it's
saw.
Go very badly.
Yeah.
No, this is. Don't try this at home, kids. All right, that game should come with a disclaimer. All right. The difficulty at doing that, and the part of it is that you don't know what's coming at you, so you're playing blind versus so many different types of openings, and that was also a Hydra bust, by the way.
Yeah.
So, like, he also held it first, the Hydra bust, but I guess you probably have enough extra minerals. Maybe you can get the extra cannons out in time. Just a different way of viewing the game. Instead of being on top of the Zerg, trying to see everything they're doing and counter it and toy with them, you're just staying back and using the minimum amount of information to intuit how the game should go and what alterations in your play you should have.
Wow. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, Protoss versus Protoss, Snow versus Mini.
남자 치고는 작업형인데 너무 작은데요, 근데. 아, 네. 오, 잠깐만. 괜찮게 한다고 생각했는데 잘 안 되네요. 지금 7개, 9개 했는데 한번 해볼게요. 가겠습니다. 이게 처음부터 잘 잡아야 되네. 포기할 거 포기하고. 왼쪽 걸 하고 있으면 오른쪽을 못 살리는데요. 이거 제가 봤을 때는 에임에 도움 될 것 같아요. 방송 키고 하기 전에 손풀기로 한 개씩 해도 될 것 같아요. 저도 이제 늙어가지고 저도 이제 나이가 나이인지라 잘 안 되네요. 잘 보이지도 않고. 네. 핸드폰만 한데요? 이걸로 하는 게 아니라 이걸로 좀 스타 할 때 APM은 좀 빠른 편이라. 확인 누르면 돼요? 네. 아니. 너무 어려운데요? 좀 적응되면은 할만할 것 같은데. 저 어떻게 해야 될지 감이 왔어요. 최소 80점 시작하겠습니다. 태고 쉬운 거부터 해야 돼. 돌다. 짧은 거부터. 야야야. 고랑이 보너스 같은데? 아씨. 140점. 140점.
네, 하시네요.
상위권일 것 같은데요? 도움 될 만할 게 침착함? 네, 좀 마인드 컨트롤을 할 수 있는 침착함을 가지고 할 수 있다는 거.
오늘 진행할
네.
미니 게임 정도.
이걸로 해야 돼요?
그래서
미니 게임이 이민이에요? 평소에 그래도 꽤
같아요. 자신 있는 편입니다. 할게요. 아니 이거 아예 안 보이는데? 아니 이거 너무 작다 근데 화면이. 아니 이게 마우스가 안 돼. 지금 보이시죠? 제가 감도를 좀 많이 타가지고 좀 예민한 성격이라서. 이게 마우스만 좋았어도 지금 1등인데. 이거 보고 하면 안 돼요? 아니 이거 보고 하면 안 돼요? 아 근데 첫 판이었으니까 이거 좀 더 앞에서 봐도 되나? 저 좀 집중해서 할게요 그러면은. 지금 이 판때기가 너무 안 좋아요. 원래 사각게임 되게 잘하는데 아 이거 애들이 놀리겠네. 아니 이번 판 어깨가 너무 심한데? 어깨가 너무 일단 심했고 아 제가 근데 좀 눈이 안 좋아요. 아 이게 그러니까 그냥 억까 판이었다. 좀 이건 잘할 수가 없는 판이었다. 네.
오늘 진행할 게임은 컨텐츠는 미니게임 정보.
잡기도 힘든 정도의 마우스라서 이게 좀 클릭 자체를 못할 것 같은 느낌이 들어가지고 제가 원래 미니 게임은 자신 있는데 이런 거는 생각도 못했어요 지금. 이 정도만 하고 싶은데? 저 이 정도만 하고 싶은데? 아 이게 갑자기 긴장돼서 마우스가 더 안 되는데? 자 시작하겠습니다. 제발. 아 클릭 못했어. 제발. 아! 김태형 선수보다 잘했으니까 만족해요 저는.
제가 16강 조가 좋았던 적이 없는데 그렇다고 해서 뭐 떨어진다는 생각은 없습니다. 네.
어려운 조에서 잘해가지고 뚫어서 8강 꼭 가고 싶습니다. 이번에는 또 결승 가는 모습 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
잘하는 사람들이 많아서 좀 너무 재밌을 것 같고 저도 기대가 많이 되는데 이번 시즌도 잘해가지고 꼭 8강 꼭 진출하도록 하겠습니다.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm so excited for this PvP. I know mirror matchups always, you know, they're maybe considered the least hype
Yeah.
out of all the matchups in RTS games, but how can you not be totally pumped for these two to duke it out?
You know, it's a great match. I'm actually really looking forward as well to seeing what maps there are because I feel like, you know, in ZVZ, when you have different maps, I don't feel like you really get that much of a different play. Like a little bit, of course. TVT, kind of the same, where it's like, okay, yeah, there's a little bit of a difference, but in PvP, like the ease of getting the natural or the third base makes a huge, huge difference. And of course, Dominator to start. That's what I was going towards. Rock, paper, scissors, Tastosis. Which one do you take?
You know the answer, Tastosis. We
Rock.
solved this a long time ago. It's Rock every time.
Rock every time. So who's going to go 3-gate? We will see. It's time for rock, paper, scissors on Dominator.
Okay, Snow in the top left and Minnie in the center right. By the way, guys, we used to cast ASL out of the studio, and one day they pulled us in and said, we're not getting enough viewership. We're going to just cut this part off. We're making the company smaller, basically, to save money, and we lost our jobs. But we decided, why not try to put this on Patreon? They can send us the clean feed. We can cast it from here. And we've been doing it ever since, thanks to you guys.
Yeah.
So please consider going to patreon.com/ASL English and supporting our endeavor to keep the oldest, best esport alive.
It's such an important thing, and we really do thank you guys who have been members of that Patreon for a long time. to allow us to do this and continue to cast ASL is absolutely amazing. Brood War is in such a good spot right now. It's insane. Like, it's big, big, big in Korea. Everyone's doing really well with it. And it's growing outside of Korea as well. We have more people playing now. We have a ton of casting going on. And, tournaments and stuff as well. It's just, it's a great time.
Yeah, it really is. It's cool to see people picking up the game. There's a point where, when a game's out for a couple years, there's always this hysteria about like, oh, the game's getting older. Is the scene going to die? And it does feel like you pass this threshold if a game has aged well, where it's like, no, it's just going to be played forever.
Yes.
Like Smash Melee.
Yes. And we're definitely in that case with Brood War. Like, this game is 27 now, I want to say. 26 or 27 years old.
26, I think.
Okay.
26, yeah.
And it's just like, it's thriving. And in fact, we're going through this kind of hard time with StarCraft 2 right now, and Brood War is just unaffected by anything because it has zero to do with the publisher. Like ASL, obviously that's amazing that Soup puts this on. But even without ASL, like there's still like other leagues going on, but ASL is such an important integral part of this.
Well, I think it's also a nod to the history of StarCraft being put on TV in like 1999, basically. And the intrigue of the game coming on and people, getting around the couch and watching it together, like you would a football game.
Yeah.
Or a UFC match or something like that. And so there'll always be tournaments online, or LANs you can go to, but there's something special about a seasonal system like this, a little bit like a Netflix season, where you get to watch, let's say, how many days is an ASL? Is it like 13
15,
or something
16?
like that?
I think it's
15, 16 days.
6 plus 4 plus 4 plus 1. So 15 days. Okay. Yeah.
So, but it's it's nice to kind of tune in, follow a part of a story, and then come back later and pick it up, and eventually you have the best player, you have a champion. So in this game, we'd had it was impossible for Minnie to scout Snow. Snow did get inside of Minnie's base and look around. Nobody had any kind of alarming techs that you could find. They were both going for Dragoon range. Minnie will probably have to play slightly more conservatively because he doesn't know what Snow is teching to. There's always the possibility that Snow had like a Citadel making there. In fact, he does not. He's going for a Robo instead.
They're both going Robo. So that's going to give us like most likely an even position here. So what I was talking about with rock, paper, scissors before, guys, is because there is a reverse ramp, where you have high ground outside the main base, that makes 3-gate Goon outstandingly strong. Like, if you just go 3 Gateway Dragoon, you can push in and hold the top of the ramp, and it's really hard to push up a ramp. And so what kills 3-gate Goon for free? It's Dark Templar. And what kills Dark Templar? It's Quick Observer. What kills Quick Observer? More Goons than you have. So this map, because we've had different versions of this map in the past as well, basically anything with the low ground main base has been historically kind of a rock, paper, scissors type situation. But there are middle of the road builds. Like we see here from Minnie, he's going Observer 3-gate.
Right. Observer 3-gate's very safe. And, you don't die to their 3-gate and you still have your Robotech. He probably won't be getting a shuttle and Reavers here. Snow is going for the everything build here, where he's got gateways, he's got a Robotech. He could expand, or he could go for a Shuttle Reaver here. There's also a build where you can just go for Blind Reaver, and that can be extremely powerful, especially on maps where you start out on low ground, because if they get a Shuttle and Reaver onto your high ground, it's so hard to reclaim.
It's how do you even push up? Because you can always just pick up the Reaver against Reaver shots. If you lose that high ground, it's really, really devastating, which is why the very fast 3-gate builds sometimes can counter these builds that we're seeing from Minnie and Snow, but they're both doing it. They're both trying to be kind of active with their units out front, kind of poking, seeing what's going on. So Minnie's going much heavier into the gateway units, and Snow is going into the Reaver. In these positions, because the Robo slowed Mini down a bit, I think that Snow's build is just a bit better. What do you would say?
I think they're both pretty good. You know, Dragoon Observer is very strong in that it can actually fight everything when it's 3-gate. Like, you can even fight Reaver build if you want, and you can always tech into a later Reaver if you want. It's got a lot of flexibility to it. Now, this game, it's Snow getting ready for an expansion up here. You know, I think Mini could just run up here and kill this, right? I mean, doesn't he have like 2 or 3 more Dragoons?
Well, there is a Reaver coming out, so if you get some really good Reaver shots, maybe that can make the difference, but definitely Mini has a bigger army at the moment. He hasn't started yet with that Nexus, but he does make a very good arc here, which is really, really important. The arc is going to make him shoot everything all at once, so it's really hard to go in and actually engage as Mini. And the Zealot counts are actually really important. Like, if Mini goes in, the Zealot will lead to eat the first Scarab, but of course, Snow has a couple Zealots in there as well, and Zealots tank better and deal damage quicker than Dragoons.
Yeah, having one Zealot in a mix with the Dragoons is really good. It draws a lot of fire away. He's going to fly in here with this Observer, and it will be picked off. And right now, nobody is confident in expanding here. Like, Snow's going to basically kind of lean into the position. He's got, oh. Can Snow get this Observer away? I think he has to go in a straight line, and he will be okay. Yeah, very nice move.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like the other Observers simply cannot catch it. As long as you go in a straight line, you don't lose any of that speed, I guess. Okay, so Snow has moved forward with his secondary Reaver. I think Mini has to move back, and he's making a Nexus. I think that's the perfect play for Mini. Like, you have to make the Nexus here because your opponent is getting a more cost-efficient army. So he could probably go back to his own high ground and just make it really hard for Snow to push. But the back of his main is facing towards Snow. So Snow has a lot of potential here with the Reavers, where he can either threaten the push with the Reavers or threaten a counter drop.
Yeah, Snow, I think, is thinking about pushing here. And Mini's basically going to try to take a fight over here. And I think that's just one Reaver in there. Maybe there's a second one. He didn't drop it. Okay, good targeting on the shuttle, but it only takes shield damage. And Mini is, I think, more interested in basically blockading this push. I don't think he's going to try to push it himself. He's trying to just drive this away. Because what Tastosis was saying earlier is 100% right. Like, this main is huge on the side over here. And if you get a shuttle in there and start to drop and hit Reavers and then pull out, you could probably push into the expansion. So both sides are going to get their Reavers up. A lot of times in games like this, it's hard to tech past Reaver tech. Especially on this map where you have this big main that's in low ground because it's very droppable. So we may see a Dragoon Reaver dogfight that goes on for a long time.
When I've seen a lot of PvPs where they do stay on Reaver for quite some time, and it always feels to me like, okay, the first 2 Reavers get microed magnificently, the next 2 less so, and anything beyond that is just nothingness as far as micro goes. So I just wonder is Snow just like considerably better at using multiple shuttles of Reavers, or does he drop off like everyone else as well?
We're going to see, I guess, if he decides to go that route. I think what's more important is that, if there's maps where you can find lots of openings like that, it can be extremely good. Oh, kind of miscontrolled there by Mini.
Oh my God, the
drop
flank.
again.
The flank from Mini is huge, and he actually gets the Reaver there, the shuttle rather, and his Reaver's getting some good shots, but Snow seems like he has enough. I think he's just going to hold this. Dude, I thought for a second there, I'm like, damn, Mini is such a tactical genius. And maybe he is, but yeah, he has to.
Whoa.
He has to GG there, unfortunately. He lost too much.
Yeah.
Man, that was a kind of a sudden GG as well, it felt like.
I think he just kind of, Reaver Dragoon interactions with each other, they're really frustrating because things move slow. You're moving these extremely slow, powerful units that can really be microed perfectly, by the way. But it's a little bit of a micro poker game. Like, oh man, Mini is so distraught.
He is unhappy with that.
I think he didn't need to do that. I think what you want to do back there is go for shuttle speed and start trying to take pot shots at him. He had the pressure on him. I think he could have looked for shots to kill Dragoons, picked up, run back, kept doing that over and over. But I think he pushed too far.
Well, obviously he did because he had to GG right afterwards. Great defensive plays there from Snow. Didn't even have to attack that game, just kind of blocked everything Mini was up to. But that's the one map that's going to look like that. That's like, Dominator just plays kind of funny. We're going to go into Deja Vu and then Polestar if we make it there. And these maps are much more standard than Dominator for PvP.
Right. Yeah, you're really locked into Reavers when you play on that map. And Snow just played a conservative game. He just stayed safe. He didn't do anything crazy, and an overextension from Mini was all Snow needed. I guess there's a world where Mini could have tried to stay in there a little bit longer and do more. But anyways, guys, we're gonna go into game number 2 here. Remember that the winner of this best of 3 is moving on to the second remaining spot in the round of 8.
All right, so we have Snow in the top right there, Mini in the bottom left. Deja Vu, anything in particular about this map stand out to you, Tastosis, as far as Protoss versus Protoss goes?
Well, let's say that we get a game that looks like the last one. You do have a high ground area in the middle of the map, so Dragoon Reaver versus Dragoon Reaver is pretty punishing if they can get a contain.
Yeah.
PvP is not really about contains a lot of times. It's more about pushes in narrow areas, but just something to look for. I think there's plenty of different ways to approach this map. Koreans pretty much don't 2-gate ever at the highest level unless it's like inside their opponent's base, which Mini's done actually plenty of games.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's very late scouting, 1-gate, gas, cybernetics core plays. So, I mean, usually there's not a ton to remark about early on in PvP unless they deviate from that.
Sure. The specifically on Deja Vu, you mentioned it could be punishing because of the high ground that kind of rings the center. I know that's kind of what early game Terran versus Terran on this map revolves around. Is if you lose that position, it's basically game over. Would you say it's similar in PvP?
No, not exactly. I mean, PvP. The funny thing is like there's a lot of times when it's not easy for either side to attack into each other if they both have shuttles and reavers.
Yeah.
You can try to contain them heavily, but if you play a slow contain game where you just sit out there, they can try to tech into Templars. And Templar tech will beat Reavers long term if you can kind of get past the threats that a Reaver can create. So, like, a Psystorm just forces a shuttle and a Reaver to pick up. They'll both take damage and move, at best. At worst, it just eats the whole Psystorm and can't get out, right?
Yes.
And 2 Psystorms will kill a Reaver. But the problem is that before you get that Psystorm tech, the Reavers can do a ton of damage. The Reavers can also push you and kill you before you get Psystorm. So, there's a lot of games where we see, nothing past Reaver tech, basically. But there's also games where both sides, they're pretty buttoned up. There's not a real way to get much done with Reavers, and it makes more sense to switch into that. Also, if you have shuttle speed, in a late game PvP, a Psystorm drop in the mineral line is basically the strongest thing there is.
Yeah.
Because probes are extremely brittle. They don't have like Scourge or like Spore Crawlers. I mean, even against Zerg, Psystorm drops are just devastating. Like, it's hard to stop it from happening. Terran, I think they've got, with the siege tanks and mines and turrets, it's a little bit easier.
And don't forget the SCVs have more health. I think that's the biggest thing,
right? So
that they can eat a piece of a Psystorm and sometimes still get away. If the Psystorm hits a probe or a drone, it's basically dead. Like, it's very rare for it to get out.
If it touches it for more than a second, then it dies. Yeah, that's one of the funny things is you'll Psystorm drop Terrans, and like sometimes it doesn't feel like you got anything, and then like the second or the third drop kills everything because they were all damaged. But the extra HP on the SCVs makes a huge difference. So if we get into late game, that would definitely be something to look for here. In this game, Mini's scouting probe is being chased away. It looks like Snow's going to try to moving shot this. I'm always blown away that players are good enough to do this. I guess he actually messes it up.
Yeah, Mini is actually the first guy that I saw doing this for real. But it's become such a thing at this point that it's actually it might end up being problematic for the balance of the game. The amount of scout denial you can get if you're really high level. I once saw Mini kill like 4 of Light's SCVs in a row, and Light just couldn't get to his base. And it was like, okay, this if everyone ends up being able to do this, it's going to be bad.
I mean, get ready. We're probably a couple years away from everybody being so good at moving shot that it's just out of this world.
Yeah.
So this is the Robotech coming up here. If you want to learn PvP and you're not sure how to play it, you can always just get a Robo and then get a second gateway, excuse me, and you're basically safe versus anything. Yes, they might have expanded before you, but like you're still okay. So this is the best way to play blind PvP. Stork made this very, very common in the matchup. Other players as well, but I think Stork probably perfected this. And it's like you're going to be fine versus everything. You can't lose. Like fast CTs won't kill you. You won't die to a Reaver push. But you're not necessarily ahead in any way. But sometimes that's the way to play it, is to just play safe.
For sure, that can be. You kind of have to know who you're against. Like, if you're against a much weaker player, that's going to be the best way pretty much every time. But, I can definitely make some arguments for playing a more risky style when it's, like, really a high-level player that you're against, Because it's like, well, you kind of need the edge. Going for something middle of the road, like, if they take a risk and you don't, then they might be the ones that get that advantage. But that being said, it looks like they're both kind of going down this middle of the road type of style anyways.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like we're going to end up in the same place. Shuttle Reaver, nobody able to do that much damage to each other. Possibly both pushing into each other here. 6 Dragoons here for Mini. An Observer probably moments away from popping out. And we actually have the Observer already inbound here for Snow. So you can get an Observer, a Reaver, and a Shuttle in any order, but they are better in certain situations in certain orders. So if you're trying to kind of just get everything out optimally and save time, it would always be Shuttle and then either Reaver or Observer, depending. Yeah. Safer one would be Shuttle, Observer, Reaver. If you were fast expanding, you might end up going Observer, Reaver, Shuttle, right? You don't want, if you're trying to play super safe, because you don't want to die to DTs, so you get that out and scout them, but then here's the Reaver in case a push comes. And then finally, you might even get a second Reaver, and then a Shuttle, where you're like, okay, now it's my turn to try to harass you. And the ordering here for Mini is going to be such that, he's going to come out here and scout. He's setting up for a push. And Snow doing something very different. He's basically expanding and defending here. So Mini needs to get something done, or he's going to be behind.
And yeah, Snow skip that Shuttle. The reason that you always would go Shuttle first is because it takes 19 seconds for an Observatory or a Reaver or support bay to make. So you just lose build time on the Robo. So more efficient to get that Shuttle first, and that's what Mini has done. But by skipping the Shuttle, that gives Snow those extra minerals, and he has the Nexus coming up. So his Shuttle comes out next. But this is going to be a little bit rough. There's a Reaver here in a Shuttle already. That's a nice Scarab, but he was retreating, so it doesn't take the full damage, but still losing a few units here. This looks like a push that Mini's going to be able to get some damage on.
Yeah, I do like that he's got... Oh, that was such a good dodge. He needs to get down here. Perfect. And now this is the way that Snow can stall, is they both are forced to continuously juggle. And then, how can anybody advance here? Now, as this goes on, you probably can't transfer probes, but this is so taxing on both players that neither one can usually do a whole lot other than just this in this moment.
One thing
Mini's going to try...
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, see this pylon here. This is actually great Reaver defense, because to kill that with Scarabs, if you kill it with one Reaver with Scarabs, it costs 5 more minerals to kill it than it costs to make. So it's just a very good defense, and obviously as you use Scarabs, you shoot quicker than you remake Scarabs too. So you have to be really careful when there's pylons out there. Though it's hilarious that pylons are the best defensive structure Protoss has. Against Reavers, against, I guess not against Zerg, but against Vultures, pylons are just god tier.
Yeah, it's this funny thing. If you've ever seen a pylon at the front of a base and you never see cannons there, you never see anything else, that's why. Is the pylon is basically a shot pathing battery where they're, you know, if they leave the Reaver unattended, it kind of looks around and goes, pylon, and shoots it. Because this whole game's designed so that when you leave your units alone, they kind of try to get the job done for you as best they can, and that basically screws up, you know, the loaded Scarabs in there. Now, Snow's got shuttle speed and Mini does not. Now, Snow has to be careful if he tries to go around and harass. Mini could possibly push in here and just try to kill him.
He's set up an additional pylon out there in front as well. So these are like, they also screw up the pathing as you walk in with your Dragoons and whatnot. A few Dragoons going around. Is this for like probe snipes? Is this to just catch some Dragoons coming out? What is this 4 Dragoon set doing?
3 Dragoons one-shot a probe. So if he runs into the natural, he could kill a bunch of probes, basically without his opponent being able to do much of anything. So I think that's what's going to happen.
Looks that way.
Yeah, we're not getting a shot of it. So this is like just enough that you can like kill off the Reavers, kill off the Dragoons, and actually cause a real headache over here. So he's going to wipe out those Dragoons. He's juggling this as best he can. There it is. Our pylon in the way, kind of buying time. He was hoping to move in there.
And of course, lifting up here, you're going to dodge all those Scarabs. Does get some Scarabs off here. It seems like Snow's defense is pretty solid with 3 Reavers. The 4 Dragoons that he has on the other side, you know, they've already done a little bit of damage. We see both sides supply blocked, which is kind of funny to see. But those Dragoons will now get pushed back by Mini's Dragoons coming out of his gates.
Yeah, they're not quite able to get anything done here. Mini's going to unload again. And you can see it's a really delicate interaction when they both have Reavers like this. Oh, God, he has 1 Dragoon alive here. That's kind of funny.
Whew.
So, we don't have any shots of their mains. I believe they're just still locked into this tech, by the way, guys.
I think so. How do you know when to add the Citadel and Templar archives here?
Tastosis, I don't know. I
appreciate that.
I think there's a lot of games where they just kind of commit to this because it's tricky to get the tech out. I mean, we can kind of watch and see. They're not making probes, by the way. I've seen a lot of games where they just seem to like commit to all Dragoons. They stop making workers, and it becomes this big clash in the middle here. So he's going to drop over here on the side, and the Reaver is just not able to defend this in this position for Mini. And Snow has completely uplifted this spot over here where Mini was dominating. And now Snow can just back up and reposition.
Really seems like tactically Snow is a step ahead of Mini here. Like he is finding like little positions that he can move into. He's being much more active. Mini's just been trying to kind of brute force his way in, and Snow's finesse and his defense has outplayed him the entire time.
And now I don't know that Mini can get back home. But he's got to be careful. An overextension, you know, versus Reavers with speed shuttles, it's very punishing. Snow's, oh my God.
Dude.
Oh,
he knew he was coming
God.
there. He gets it, and now he's going to pick off that Reaver super fast. Tries to pull back. The Scarab does get a good hit, but he's going to be able to push this back as well. This feels like a very big advantage for Snow now.
Mini looked like he swallowed his tongue when that shuttle was picked off. That was crazy. Nice pickup, continuing to dodge here. Somehow, miraculously, Mini actually drives that away. That was supposed to be maybe the killing blow, where those Scarabs getting their shots off and wiping out all of those workers.
The Dragoons will go to the high ground. Looks like Snow doesn't even want to deal with that right now. I think bringing his entire army together and maybe taking the position that we saw from Mini before could be a good move here with his Reavers on the high ground. As long as he watches for that little move around that he was doing to Mini.
So he's going to do a 4 Reaver push.
Oh, there's
and
no
this
shuttle?
is a good way to end it if you really get like the supremacy of your Reavers in the game, and they're in like a narrow bottleneck like this, is you just kind of shove in. He's going to keep some of the Reavers in the back, but he'll pick those up and add those in later. You don't want to have all the Reavers at once going, because the Scarabs can just kill them all like immediately if you get a good connection. But he's basically doing a decent enough job juggling. I almost wonder if Snow could have pushed through a little bit further there. He decides to back up and take a 3rd.
I think with the Reaver shots that Mini was getting, he actually hit the Reavers with the Scarab there as well. And, you know, Reavers do not last that long at that point. You know, they don't have that much health. It feels like they have more health than they do because they get microed so heavily with the shuttle. But at 180, it's like 2 Scarabs and they're gone.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, they'll get low enough that if they're exposed at all, they just get killed. So I think the most... Okay, I think he just didn't see that.
Yeah, I think so.
That did show up on the mini-map. Oh, well, he's got some Dragoons back here anyways. But, you know, Artosis, you were talking about the whole contain thing, and, you know, will that happen here? Well, if they're both locked in on Reavers, you can contain them like this. Nobody has tried to dive into Templar attack. In fact, I don't think anybody has a Citadel.
There's
no Citadel in this game. So, you know, had one player stayed on Reavers and the other one tried to just, you know, barrel into the Citadel tech, then I think it would be easier to break this. But right now, it's going to be 3 base versus 2, and that's kind of all you need. In fact, he's going to get another Robo Bay here.
Ooh, yeah. I can't believe he's getting a second Robo. I feel like I don't ever really see that in PvP. That's definitely more of a
I
other
think this is
matchup
becoming
thing.
more popular.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's picked up quite a bit on maps like this where they can be exploited. It's like this is so much.
Woo!
You're able to be so much more active. You know, when you get Templars and Storm, yeah, I mean you could try to get the workers, but like here, if you see 2 exposed Dragoons and you have 2 Reavers, you just one-shot it.
Yeah, he just killed 4 goons and a bunch of probes, and I think he hit 1 Scarab onto the Reavers as well. So like, he was actually behind by like 20 supply, and now he's ahead. But Snow has the third base mining, and he does have a containment. So whatever Mini's doing with his shuttles, great on him. He's getting some damage. He's keeping the game competitive. But Snow still has a better position.
Oh. Oh
my god! He's getting so much damage!
You got to imagine that the Scarab damage has been upgraded here. I don't think capacity has been upgraded yet, but it wouldn't be out of the question, right? And he can just juggle these Reavers, man. And, you know, you have to spread these Dragoons out. You have to try to protect what you can. But, like, sometimes 4 or 5 Dragoons really don't stand a chance against 3 Reavers, especially if you micromanage them at all.
And look at that. He deals so much damage. The Nexus almost falls. He gets a bunch of probes. He gets a bunch of units. Diving into the main base. Now, that containment from Snow is starting to look stupid.
Yeah. I mean, Mini's really getting a lot of work done here. And, you know, these pylons that you build early on occasionally force this kind of maze-like path you have to move through with your clunky Dragoons to try to find shots off. And you can basically keep juggling, keep cycling the Reavers in and out of the shuttles and get so many more kills.
Well, I think he has 2 Reavers left here. Yeah, and drops them out. And is he going to get out with this as well? Oh, absurd. Yep. Absurd. Look at how many Dragoons he has! Kill your eggs, for God's sake!
Oh, no. There's actually a technique that's happening here that I've learned a while back watching like a Snow tutorial. You actually want a chunk of your army in the main, like most of it, so that when you move out with everything, it comes in a line. You don't want it all moving at once.
So,
yeah, because it'll just all get killed.
That's a Protoss thing, is attack poorly.
It'll all run into Scarabs or Storm.
That's crazy. That kind of reminds me of how Zerg attacks sometimes, yeah.
Yep. You don't want to have everything kind of succinctly together. So that's why you have big chunks of the army in the main, is because the ramp will automatically kind of...
That's wild. That is so cool. So did Snow actually say that?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, okay.
You're like, I've been good all along.
No, because in my games, I would have them all at the natural, right? I mean, that's just like what you do. But apparently, this is like an easy way to kind of do this, and it makes it so that you're not overexposed in a fight.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I feel like we're at one of those like groups or something. I'm like, thank you for sharing your story, Tasteless. That was really interesting. No, that is
He's
a very cool
gonna try to
tactic.
surround him here.
Ooh, big Scarab onto those Reavers. Gets the shuttle as well. Mini's push that looked like it might be able to end Snow. Not going to be able to do it. GG. Snow advances in first place. The first non-Zerg player, the only non-Zerg player to win a group here in this round.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely earned it, man. He looked extremely strong.
Looked fantastic.
The best Reaver user of all time. The best PvTer of all time. Not a lot of Terrans right now in the round of 8, though, so I think this will be one of his tougher round of 8s. We'll see if Rush can manage to make it. We're going to be having Rush vs. Hero coming up next year. But
oh, yeah, we're going to do the round of 8 draw at the end, by the way. which is awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh, I guess yeah. We will actually just know. What
if
am I
Snow
saying?
gets light, I'm gonna freak Tastosis. Snow better not get light.
Yeah, well, we'll see. He could, man.
All right, I think we're gonna go
another
to
great performance.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think we're gonna go to a quick interview, guys, and see what Snow's thinking of winning that group, or not. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, shut up, Tastosis. We're going to the interview.
Tastosis, enough, you megalomaniac. We have an interview.
Dude, I can't believe what Mini ended up getting done with those shuttles, and then
it's
still
crazy.
could not push through Snow.
No, it's pretty sick, man. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this PvP. I wish we could have gotten one more. I thought this play here from Snow was going to be what had killed Mini, but Mini had some great defense. You know, the reality is Mini is just not as natural as Snow is moving around the map with Reavers. I mean, talk about, you know, absolute hell for Mini. The only tools he has is Dragoons and Reavers, and you're against Snow, where it's like, well, I guess the most important best unit I have, I'm never as good with as my opponent.
Yeah, definitely an issue. Okay, here's that
Artosis,
interview.
I know you want to talk now. There's an interview coming, Artosis. Please keep it down.
You're watching Group D of the round of 16 of ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot6. Let's meet today's first player advancing through. It's Snow. Congratulations. Thank you. Snow, this is your third season in a row making the round of 8. During the pre-game interview, I could feel this absence of confidence from you when it comes to the PvP mirror. But my god, were you solid and composed in the games themselves as you quickly advanced to the round of 8 like so. How are you feeling? Let's start with, I didn't know I would be advancing like this. I thought it would not be easy, that's what I said at least. Luckily things went well, and I advanced. Your Reaver usage was very noticeable, striking in all of your matches today. How would you rate your condition today? Oh, my hands were trembling today, so it didn't go the way it should. I was so shaky, let's say I played at maybe 60%? Oh, is that so? You said you would honestly like to avoid playing a mirror against Mini, but rather, you had a composed and solid showing in that PvP. In the first set, despite getting into a Dragoon Reaver clash, you emerged victorious. Now, you did have a good number of Reavers, but it was the positioning of those Reavers that was so good. The Reaver towards the backside paid dividends. It was a fight that started with a shuttle being sent forward. Was that on purpose? No, my hands just wouldn't move. I actually thought I couldn't stop him, so I just said, whatever, I don't care. I hardly microed at all. I just picked the Reavers up a couple of times and it was over. I'm lucky we fought on high ground. I think that's why I beat Mini. I think luck was on my side. And in the second game, as you were constructing an army with Reavers and shuttles, you also sent 4 Dragoons around to your opponent's base. Yes, if you don't do that and lose control of the high ground, there is no way to break that. So, in whatever way, I needed to make an opening. That seemed the only option to do that. I'm glad it worked and I managed to break through. Mini, however, did not go down without a fight. Up until the end, he harassed you from the 2 o'clock to the 12 o'clock with Reavers, hoping to create an opportunity for a turnaround. Did you not feel like you were in trouble? If we were playing at home, I think I would have been able to snipe every single one of those shuttles. But here I was limping along. I should pick up every one of those shuttles. I couldn't do that. I couldn't dodge any scarabs. I seem to be struggling offline still. And with you having this experience of having journeyed to the grand finals, the pressure of playing on the ASL stage certainly, clearly hits different. But you retain your pride as a seeded player and once again step into the round of 8. Let me tell you who can be your opponent in the round of 8. It's Light, Best, and Rain, which means there is a good chance you will play a PvP, the matchup you succeeded in today. I really don't want to play PvP. I think I would prefer going up against Light. Confidence in PvT clearly showing there from Snow. We will have to wait and see if this wish is granted when the bracket is drawn. I kind of think the fans will be hoping for the same matchup in the bracket. What do you want to say to the fans? You guys have great expectations, no doubt. But I know it won't do if I let myself feel this heavy pressure. I'll just focus on the next step, the next goal being the round of 4, just step by step, whatever is next. Right, and let me give you a chance to thank the colleagues who helped you practice as well. All right, but there were so many, I can't remember them all. I'm afraid I'll omit someone. Okay, Barracks, Speed, Bishop, Soma, and... Oh, my head, I can't. Players usually have a tough time gathering their thoughts right after playing matches. I should have had my phone out. I should have done what Jaedong did. And... Oh, JYJ, Stalk, Motive. Wow, you really practiced a lot. Yeah, over 3 days I probably played like 150 games. Wow. I really can't remember anymore. I will write a blog post later. Sure, I'm sure they understand. Can't wait to see you perform as well in the round of 8. Once again, congratulations on advancing. Thank you. And there you have Snow, our first player advancing out of Group D today. Let's take a look at our events. We have an offline event for those watching live at the studio. Upload a photo or a video of yourself to social media from the studio and then post that as a comment under the event post. 10 people will receive power banks, and we also have 1 ASL uniform to give away. Please participate. And we also have a winners prediction event on the Soup Esports website taking place all throughout this round of 16. 4 people who guess all the winners will be receiving ASL branded MagSafe power banks as prizes. We will take a short break and come back with the losers and decider matches.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
And we're back. Hero versus Rush. This is going to be a fun one, Artosis.
Yeah.
Rush has shown some pretty brilliant TVZs. He is oftentimes able to not get oppressed by Zergs in ways that other Terrans do struggle. Even players like Light, you can kind of see get boxed around a little bit, but he's got some pretty crafty openers here that have worked out pretty well. So I'm really interested in seeing exactly how this whole game is going to pan out.
Yeah, he's got a really good range of play, and he's done well against Hero in the past, so definitely I think he does have a shot, but I am favoring Hero here. Deja Vu, Radeon, Eclipse. So this first map going to be really important for Rush. Let's get into it.
ASL Season 19.
Okay, we've got Hero here in the top left and Rush here in the top right. And, you know, you talk about this a lot, Artosis, but, you know, the placement of the natural, and is it pointed towards the Zerg in a way where the Mutas can harass it? Now, in this matchup, I think it's very fortunate for Rush's sake that he's on the right, at the top right, and Hero's at the top left here. If it was reversed, it'd be worse for the Terran, right?
100%. It's just they can rally the Mutas so quickly to your natural and really focus on harassing there, which can be a big, big issue for Terran. You know, you just don't want to be losing SCVs. But, you know, in these positions, this is just going to be like a pretty straightforward, kind of normal-looking game, I think. But what is Rush going to open with? It looks like he's going to open Wall, which tells us that he's probably just going to go some variant of Marine Medic. You know, if you build your depot down there right away, it's like you never go factory behind a wall on the low ground. It's just you're stretched a little thin at that point. So this should just be like going into a barracks, going into pool first. And I believe that should be overpool then, right?
Getting more and more popular. Yeah, that's overpool.
The
Overlord pops out right as the pool, starts.
I was telling you that the other day. It has become more popular. It is a defensive build. Rush's build is going to hold on against this very, very easily. As long as he basically sees it coming. In Hero, you don't expect a bunch of lings to be made anyways. Normally they make like 2 lings with this unless something seems off. So I think we're going to see Rush having a little bit of an advantage, but not end of the world for Hero. And I'm not surprised he did this, because actually in my mind as we began, I was thinking, what should Rush do? And the first thing that came to mind is maybe map 1, you go 2 barracks in the center. Right? And that's what this is going to catch, is if you do something like that, like any sort of 8 racks play, he's going to be able to crush it with this.
It's going to be interesting to see how much longer Zergs keep doing this, because it's not ideal. It's not ideal in normal passive games. I mean, you can kind of make it work, but this very, and I think it's all come from Sulky, by the way, and the way that he's behaved and handled this. It's a nod towards, okay, Sulky seems to have this kind of sorted where you have to keep Terrans on guard because there is a risk they could just get rushed or punished if they try to do an all-in. But yeah, it's cool to see that this is bubbled up in this season of ASL, and I guess the question I've got is how long is it going to stay?
Yeah, it's just kind of a little bit of a rotation, right? Like the more center barracks play you see, the more overpools you should see, because it's just like a good counter against it. So,
sure.
I think it's just like as overpool maintains some level of popularity, the 8 barracks plays will be dialed back, and then overpool dial back, and as overpool dials back, or any sort of pool first play goes back, then you start bringing up more 8 racks. It's just like that's part of the reason why games stay healthy, is those types of rotations of metagame, and like staying on top of that can give you really great results if you can really read into the trends.
So we have a small Marine push coming out here. We've seen these before. I don't know how deep he wants to go with this. It's similar to when we see occasionally Zealots kind of come out on the map in PvZ and then they run back home. If the Zerg doesn't respect it, you can run up there and kill drones. If the Marines overextend and the Zerg has plenty of lings, then you lose them all.
Hero did a great job having 2 Lings out front, but then also kind of running them around. So we saw a pullback pretty quickly there from Rush. If you push out these 4 or 5, and there's even like a 6 and 7 Marine push out that I've seen lately, these are just to force your opponent to make a few Zerglings. Or, possibly a Sunken. But yeah, he's not really planning on doing anything because this is like a 1 Rax Academy opener, so you do have to maintain your Marine count, or you'll have no pressure in the mid game.
So we've got the second gas finishing up. I mean, Hero appears to just be going for that very standard Muta play. He's got the 3rd hatch in his main, so he's going to be pretty comfortable. He's not trying to systematically capture another part of the map, like another main, and try to hold it for now. Instead, he's basically ready to control the map and take a fight. And from the Terrans' perspective, they have to figure out if the Zerg player's even doing this. Now, if he scans the 3rd hatchery in the main, he'll know. Or if he sees the creep extended from the 3rd hatchery in the main, he'll know. This isn't a rush right away, but this could be a game where the Terran's searching around a lot to try to find some kind of expansion that's not there yet.
About that, Tasteless, if you look at where he put the hatchery, this is some great attention to detail from Hero. He's put it far enough away that you probably, when you scan, will not see creep trying to connect. Like it looks to me like they're just barely out of range, and this is how it should be. Because then as Terran, you're like, does he have the 3rd hatch in the main, or is it somewhere else? And that's going to be something that, that can bother you. You can be like, oh, do I need to be looking for an expansion right now and judging the game in a different way? And also you can hide some tech down there as well.
Does it ever make sense to scan the empty spot in the Zerg's main to try to figure that out instead of trying to check everywhere for hatcheries?
Yeah, you can do that sometimes. Normally what will happen is creep will begin to connect, but Hero put it so far down, I think it's just barely out of that range. But he might end up scanning that at some point, but you have to use your initial scans on the main and natural, and then probably the natural the next 1 to 2 times, just to kind of keep track of what's being made.
Okay, well, the mutas are out. So far, Rush's control has been perfect. Good job. Hero actually pulls that Overlord away that could have been in the path of the Marines. That would have been a devastating supply block. It would have been the second supply block we've seen of Hero today, which doesn't really happen that often. And, it's going to be tough. He's basically, Rush is keeping the pressure off of his base. His base hasn't taken a scratch just yet because he's generated enough of a threat that Hero has to orbit around this infantry here and make sure it's not going any further. And now he's going to try to do some pot shots over here, but it doesn't really feel like there's any one thing that's exposed, any loose end that, a Hero can try to grab onto and punish.
This is actually really well done by both sides right now. Just keeping the mutas out of his base and kind of rotating back as the muta count grows. Rush, he's trying to block these mutas as they kill off some of the turrets. This is really good from Hero right now. Okay, he saves that turret, which is actually very, very important. If they ever break all the turrets on your barracks, that leads to more losses than almost anything else in the early game.
Yeah, I was eyeing that turret, trying to see. He actually tried to get the double shot off on it and messed up, because with the mutas he had, you get 2 shots and then it burns down like 2 seconds later. So it's barely not, it's basically enough to 2-shot it unless there's an SCV sitting on top of it ready to repair. A scan in such a way that he both identifies the 3rd hatchery and sees the den.
Yeah, that's a funny thing because that's like just the tiniest bit of laziness from Hero. You should always kind of put your tech at the very far edges so they can't do those scans that reveal 2 different things. But, I mean, that's just like a very small thing. When you're microing the mutas and stuff, it's more important you're making these other moves correctly. But, just these tiny things that I think over the course of the next few years we'll see people dial in a little bit more. But the 11 mutas here, this whole stack coming in, continuing to try to reduce the Marine medic count a little bit. But Rush has really retained his army very, very well this game.
Yeah, he did send that drone to the bottom left. His hive has started. Is it okay to get a hive before the 3rd base starts? I always feel like I see it the other way around, but I guess it's a little bit different because this was a 3-hatch macro game with a later expand.
Yeah. Well, it was the 2-hatch opener into the 3rd hatch in the main. You normally do see that faster, to your point, but Yeah, like the timings of this is all okay. It's like the most important thing is to get Defiler on time. You know, you can have the base be a little bit later. The whole thing is like, do I have Consume and Lurkers on time to not die to Marine Medic?
Well, he's going to be pushing out. We don't have Lurkers yet. We've got Hydras. We've got pre-Lurkers, basically.
Pre-Lurkers.
Yeah.
Prepubescent Lurkers over here.
Yes. He cannot hold position Lurker these until he's got them out of the eggs and somewhere safe. And he doesn't actually have Lurkers back home, Tastosis. Like, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
The supply block will also stop other Lurkers from coming in the game, so the Hydras that are there can't morph just yet.
Yeah, this
and he doesn't have enough mutas. This is insane.
This is shocking that he's losing like this. This is just, like... this is what every Terran wants. And this he didn't even do a build to do this, rushed in it. This was actually poorly done by Hero. Like, the fact that he morphed his Lurkers out in some random spot in the middle of the map, like, Rush did a great job just kind of maintaining his Marine Medic force. But that being said, that wasn't that much damage. He got rid of the mutas, which is good.
True.
He did hurt the drone count some, but Hero's not dead right now. If he can get Lurkers into position so that he's blocking bottom left from dying and he's blocking his natural from dying, and then just kind of like get into a regular macro game, he can absolutely recover from this. But that was a very good move from Rush.
Lurkers move forward here. He wants to try to contain this Terran. Rush is going to hang on the outside. He could go around.
Ooh.
Gosh, this is pretty daring here of Hero to try to get this close. This is a huge Terran army. A misstep and he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's such a risky thing. Every time a Zerg does this to me, Tastosis, it works, but, like, it should not at this level. Where it's like, were you looking? LOL, I got all your Marines. It's like Hero is taking a bit of a risk there, trying to catch him off guard. He actually does the push, which I'm a little bit surprised. There's so much Marine Medic out there. Now he gives a flank to Rush. Just gives it to him. Dude, I don't think Hero's
the Lurkers
playing
are
well.
Try to run away.
I don't know
I
if
feel like Hero
Mini
is
threw
playing
him off
poorly.
or
I think
what.
you're right.
Yeah, no, this is not Hero level ZVT. It is absolutely not. This is not like normally he's crossed every T, dotted every I. Nothing has hurt him yet. You know, that's a normal Hero ZVT. But this is like, I don't know why he did that push. I don't know why he morphed the Lurkers in the middle there. You know, it's just there's something weird about it. He's not playing his best game at the moment.
Yeah, we've got this push coming back out again. This is 3 vessels. He could get an irradiate on the 2 defilers. He gets 1. Now, I don't think this is a breakable position for the time being. I mean, there's just too many Lurkers, and there's defilers coming out fast enough. There's not a lot you can do. But look at this small set of infantry that's headed down to the bottom left. I don't know if there's a Nidus there. I think I see one on the mini-map, but it's hard to tell if that's what it actually is.
I think you're right.
But yeah, Zerg has to keep that base alive.
And he needs to start setting up anti-drop as well, because see, this is like perfect timing. He's reduced the mutila's count, he's hit a few irradiates, he's got map control. This is exactly when you start mixing in drop ships and you try to get some damage. So we need to see the Ling Muta in the bottom right or bottom left main. We need to see Scourge starting to be spread out a little bit. Maybe burrow a Lurker into the bottom left main base as well. Like, that's become pretty popular. Because you know that, like, when they're playing SK Terran, the only way they can really actually deal damage other than irradiate is through the drops. So you simply must get ready for that.
So he's going to try to put pressure over here at the bottom left base. He's taking a third base of his own right now. And this is a pretty weak hold that Hero has right now. Like, just having, I'm assuming that's 2 to 3 Lurkers. They always stack them on top of each other like Pringles in a can, so it looks like it's 1, but I don't think it's 1.
It is 1.
No, it's 1! There's only 1 Pringle in the can!
That's insane. That's insane. What are we doing here?
I can't believe that.
He's got nothing in his main base. He's just going to lose. Like, the drop is going to crush. He's going to get the Nidus. When you kill the Nidus, the base generally ends up dying. It takes a while to make a new Nidus, you know, and you just kind of push up and you run the Marine Medic around and make them chase you down with Dark Swarms. Like, Rush is so far ahead right now. I don't think that Hero can recover from here. Rush has everything he needs to finish this.
Yeah. Well, this is how Zerg loses if we're this far along in the game, like past 10 minutes, is they just lose their third base. Is it another lone Pringle?
Once you pop, you just can't stop.
Once you pop, the fun stops. Let's see, how many... Is it still dying? Is there another one in there?
Dude.
Oh, someone ate the last Pringle. This is it.
Mm-hmm. Well... It just does feel off from Hero. Truly. We've seen so many Hero games and
bases, but
yeah,
no, I mean this is not. If you covered this guy's ID up and maybe guess, I would not guess Hero.
Zerg simply needs 3 gas. Like it's not really playable for very long. Once vessels are out, if you don't have 3 gas, you're dead. And he basically doesn't have 3 gas. And the thing is, you can even lose some of these dropships. It doesn't really matter. The magic number for Defiler-based play is 70 supply. Once you drop below 70, you're basically dead. Everything gets broken at once. And you can see here, right? 68 supply. He loses the bottom left. Rush is bringing everything towards top left. You're never going to get through with this Defiler. He's looking to maybe run up and throw a Darkstorm in a natural or something. It's never going to happen. Like, you can make pure Firebat here. You can do anything you want as Rush. You have too much Irradiate. He has too little gas to replace it. That was a great Plague, though.
Yeah, I mean, I like seeing Hero kind of try to lash out here and try to get some Plagues down, but you can see Rush knows to get those Firebats. When you're this far ahead, the Firebats can kind of break what is normally invincible setup of Lurker Defiler. Because there's not enough lurkers. Like, the Firebats just overpower them. It's almost like reverse Zerglings or something like that, if that makes sense. You know, you just have like enough Zerglings in a small fight, it kind of kills anything. Similar to Firebats in this specific situation.
This is the best way to try to come back is like Plague Grind plus Hydra, Lurker, Defiler. Like, that's how you can get the highest cost efficiency against SK Terran. But it's just... He's been out of position too many times. He's lost too many units. Even though he's gotten some great plagues. And look, he's getting some very good spines here. He's killed vessels. It's just, you're only on 2 base at the end of the day. And that's just not enough resources. Like, he can't even really afford to make lurkers anymore. I think the only lurkers you should be making at this point are probably, like, any Hydras that get irradiated. Like, you have to cast Plague nonstop to have any chance at killing this stuff off.
Yeah, I respect Hero trying to just fight, trying to somehow make this work, but Terran's even taken that other base in the far bottom right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're really at the point of no return. It's funny, you can look on the mini-map, there's actually the bottom left hatchery is being remade again. God, Hydras are so bad against bunkers, it is insane.
Yeah. You know what's funny is there's actually bio in the bottom left, but it's like guarding the ramp. So if he gets that up and instantly makes a Nidus, who knows, man? Maybe he can get that base going. Another good Plague goes down.
He can just expand right under his...
I think we're just going to see GG
Oh,
here.
this should be game.
Yeah. Okay. It wasn't well played from Hero. That was not his finest moment. He didn't block. And the thing is, if you're going like +1, 4 racks, I'm trying to bust you with Marine Medic, and then you get that type of bust in the early game, it's like, okay, well, I mean, that's somewhat reasonable. But he went 3 barracks, late +1, to get into his vessels on time and everything, and Hero still wasn't able to hold that initial push very well. He held it, of course, and the game went on, but like, it wasn't there that game. Hero really needs to step it up if he's going to try to get out of this group.
I think that Rush played very well, but I don't think he did any one thing that was so spectacular. I don't like talking like this either, by the way, but like I think Hero just played poorly. He made some bad decisions. He pushed when he should have just played conservatively. He didn't take the #1 priority in that phase of the game, which is to secure his third base, which allows him to then get a 4th base and get into hive tech and be healthy. Anyways, guys, the best of 3 is continuing on here with Rush versus Hero. Let's go. Okay, so bottom left is Hero, top right is Rush. Going into this TVZ again here. Hopefully Hero has a little bit of a cleaner day. I think he might be a little bit shaken from that mini game.
Yeah.
Like that was a very unusual game from Hero. I feel like ASL, he is really one of the superstars of the whole tournament.
For sure.
Since like season 1 to now, like this guy's always been good. He's always a threat. But yeah, I mean, Mini really had his numbers there.
He
no
did.
scouting.
He
Can
did.
you imagine being
yeah.
Hero, by the way? Like in that game, and just the probe never comes, and you're like, what is happening? Like,
Well, if he's not going to scout me, I'll bust him.
Rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's probably thought he was being cannon rushed so many times it never came. Like there was probably a lot of confusion on his part in that game because it was so weird. And then it was just like a gateway expand. Again, just it's such a different way to think about that opening.
It was a wild game, and like hugest props to Mini. And you're right, like that could be what threw him off. Because again, the game against Rush not that strong. If he can put out a good game here, if he can kind of regain his mentality and put out a standard Hero game and take Rush down, you know, we were talking about it lately. Eclipse is the hardest map to kill Zerg on right now. It's like there's no way in with the dropships. You just can't get that type of damage. And you know, if you can't really ever kill Zerg as Terran with frontal attacks. You know, Terran versus Zerg is not about frontal attacks because there's no answer to Defiler Darkswarm in that case. So it's like it's always about going around the edges, keeping pressure on, and things like that. So, you know, I think Hero still definitely has a chance to win this series. We just have to see a stronger game here.
Is it acceptable for the Zerg to take a third base at, in this case, from the positions they're in? Would it be okay to take that at 6 o'clock?
You could take it. You can take it, but like you do have to be a little bit. That's a very late spawning pool, isn't it? 2:15.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah, that's okay. He's been microing this, and he forced like 4 SCVs down. But yeah, like you can take a third base like on location, but like tricky things can occur because of that. Where it's like, okay, are you gonna make extra Zerglings to block this? Because like if Terran reads it quickly, they can move out before Zergling speed and like just with Marines and SCV and build a bunker or something. Or, you know, are you going to just mass sunken if they keep pressure on you? You know, there's a few different ways that Terran can counteract that if they read that that's what's occurring. This is a weird,
for now,
weird opener from Hero, it feels like to me. Yeah, it's just like a slightly later layer. But actually, Rush doesn't know that. He'll get in here, and this looks normal. So he doesn't actually recognize that the layer this game is about 15 seconds later than the previous layer in the previous game.
Yeah, there's no way to check the progress of it in StarCraft 1 unless you're able to time out when it's supposed to finish.
That's right.
It's this thing in RTS games, and it's different for each game, but like some buildings, they have animations. Other games, they'll give you, you know, like in StarCraft 2, you can see the number of, you know, workers in the gas, for instance, where in StarCraft 1, you have to like look carefully and be like, do I have 3 or 4? You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, so he scouted that the layer, we know it's late, but he doesn't, is what I'm trying to say.
And he's going for the quick engineering bay. You know, there is a fail-safe that's generally in play where if you start your academy by 4 minutes, you can scan before you have to start turrets. So,
okay,
like that's like a just-in-case move. Not everyone does that. Like, anytime you can, you put your scanners back as late as possible and things like that. But, like, that would be a possibility. Now, the SCV actually gets in, which is pretty big. And he'll be able to see the health on the Spire, so that's something. And, oh, my God, this Marine move out. Oh, my God, this is going to do real damage.
Oh, my God. It's an execution down here. Good targeting on the drones. He's going to at least get...
Yeah, it looks like he gets 3. It feels like that could have been slightly better, but I can't actually fault that. If you get your Marines down there and kill that many drones, you're feeling pretty good about it.
Well, it's basically unacceptable from the Zerg standpoint. You're never supposed to let that happen. Like, Marines are actually so slow. Like, to travel across the map undetected and get in there and then get the kill is wild.
you're always supposed to have a Zergling watching for that, and he just didn't this time. It's just kind of like a it happens occasionally.
It's another. Well, Zerglings, they actually have pretty bad vision.
Yeah,
which I think people that don't actually play Zerg don't realize. I think a lot of people might assume everything has, mostly the same vision. I guess Overlords all have more vision than other stuff, right? But the Zergling actually has very poor vision, so it's tough to interact with the Marine because the Marine, with its ranged attack, can move more comfortably if it's in high enough numbers, and that can cause a Zergling to die. And in the early game like this, if you drop a couple of Zerglings, like you don't know what's going on, you don't have scouting, you don't have defense. So every Zergling is very precious in the early game here.
And, keeping an eye on that is so important. Oh, my God, he's going 5 barracks. That is 5 barracks plus 1.
Oh, no. There's one at the end. Natural,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
5 racks.
5 racks plus 1. This is like, generally you can't, like against 2 hatchery Muta, you can't really afford a factory easily here. Also, the third base that Hero has taken is actually going to be very weak against this. That is not a good location to defend against Marine Medic with Sunkens. And not with Lurkers either. It's just kind of wide open at that third. So, like, if Rush enters...
Why do you think he's taking that?
It's sneaky.
I agree.
That's sneaky. That's
okay, so
yeah.
It's almost like a hiding in plain sight move.
Yes.
Where the Terran, especially because they're in cross spawns, the Terran's probably worried about the top left and the bottom right.
Yep.
And where does he split his attention when, in fact, it's just tucked kind of in the corner here? In a base you'd take, like, in a ZVP, for example.
Yeah, that base would be the last or second last base you would check. Like, it's very late on the list of bases because it just doesn't have good defensive properties. So, like, with a build like what Rush has, like, if he had map vision for 1 second, if you just told him, like, there's a base there, you'd be like, oh, I'm going to win this game. Like, you'd feel very confident because minimum you're going to destroy his economy by forcing Sunkens. And, you're going to know that he's going to go mutiling nonstop, so you're going to build up your Marine Medic count, get a ball that's unkillable. Like, the position looks very good for Rush here. It's just, will he figure out what's going on?
Muta's inbound now. There's a lot of infantry here. Lings are also ready for that counterattack. I feel like when you have cross spawns like this and the big push comes, it's so much better to just try to counterattack and run up into the main with the Lings and the Mutas and try to kill stuff there. And that's exactly what we got.
He's going to run in immediately here with those Zerglings. A lot of times the best thing you can do is attack turrets with them. They kill turrets so much faster than anything else here. And
then,
wow.
You could take advantage of this ramp. It's like this bottleneck, and the glaives can just bounce down through it, chaining that damage together. And then right when it's uncomfortable, you just fly back out.
He's doing a really good job with the Muta Lings so far. A lot more Mutas and Lings coming out. He's kind of playing this battle Zergish style. We see Solky do this a lot with a lot of Muta Ling and just kind of crush armies. But he's seen that it's 5 barracks. So in my opinion here, like, you want to get a lot of Lurkers out. The vessels are going to be slightly later this game. He started his factory about a minute after, like, normal factory time so that he could afford lots of Marines and Medics. So it's like the vessels are just going to be slower and less in number. But he's made so many Lings and so many Mutas right now that he actually has real potential to kill the army.
He's going to try to move out again. He could get sandwiched so hard here. Double starport coming up here as well. A lot of gas banked up here for Rush. When the 2 vessels come out, the Mutas cannot be... Oh, well, hold on a second. We got a huge attack coming in here. Hero is going to wipe this army out. The reinforcements are going to come in, and I still think it might not be enough. This really goes to show you, by the way, the difference in angles. Hitting Marines from 2 sides instead of 1. How much of a difference that can actually make. But point in case, there is a ton of Marines that have been killed off here. It's basically been a giant reset. Now, it's on 5 barracks, so you can get those Marines and Medics remade pretty quickly. But, man, Hero with a big clobbering attack back there. And 3 Lurkers inbound as well.
Hero's pulling this game together right now. And this is the type of game where, like, if he keeps him back with these Mutas, which it looks like he's going to, and he runs up and burrows 5 Lurkers in the little pathway, that's game. You are not coming back from that. And I think that's what he's going to try here. He's morphing a bunch. Yeah, Rush just GG's. He realizes that's too much damage. Well done by Hero. It felt like Rush had a great opener. His build felt like it was going to be a good build against this, and he just didn't quite identify the amount of mutiling that was coming out. So great job on Hero for kind of jumping on Rush and eliminating that army and keeping that tempo advantage.
1-1. This next game decides who is knocked out, man. And I got to say, Hero stepped it up in that last game. We were talking about that third base maybe being, an untenable situation for Hero, but he did a good job basically taking fights. That sandwich in the middle of the map, crushing those Marines, and then going immediately from that victory up into the main, killing turrets off, and keeping the Terran back. It was like the engine could never really start on that 5-racks double starport play.
Well, we're going to go into Eclipse. And again, this is the hardest map to kill Zerg on. Rush probably has something special planned here. Wouldn't be surprised to see an overpull from Hero.
Season 19, the wall. Feel the roar. Strike like never before. No retreat, no control. We are fire in the soul.
Okay, we've got Hero in the top right and Rush in the bottom left. Map with only 2 spawns, so certain types of rushes or more complex strategies that could be tailored to a specific spawn location could be at play here. I tend to agree with Tastosis on this, that in this matchup, like, it's just hard to kill Zerg. You know, Zerg can basically get their bases up. They can get several bases up and defend it fairly easily, and there's not a ton that Terran can do to contest it.
No.
Where, like, on other maps, there's sometimes, like, an obvious location, like, oh, they can't really cover this area, or they're going to be weak in this phase of the game, so you get them there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Rush's plan will end up being. It does look like he wants to wall in here once again. Hero might just send a very early scout once again as well. You saw how well he did with the micro there at the wall. It's one of the annoying things about walling in is if the drone gets there early, it's just like, oh, you lose so much mining time blocking that off.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, it almost feels like it's more worthwhile to just make a bunker later on rather than deal with that. Like, if you knew they were going to come each time, I think you'd probably just not wall.
So we've had Overpool used a decent amount. I don't know if we're going to have it this game or if it's going to be Hatch on 11.
Yeah, it looks like it's probably just Hatch first. And, you know, on 2-player maps, like, I think there is an argument for that. Don't forget that on 2-player maps, the rush distance is further than on 4-player maps, except if it's cross-spawn.
Right.
So it's basically like, it's similar to cross-spawn scouting on 2-player maps, which actually, like, 4-player maps are actually the best for Marine rushes. Oh, okay. So he's doing some real cheese here. He's hiding a second Rax. So remember the little, like, 4 Marine move out we were watching on Deja Vu? He's kind of set this up with that, where he's going to walk out with the Marines because there's going to be an Overlord that sees it. But then he's going to keep going, and he's going to have more Marines than expected.
This is some great build order pairing in a series. You kind of it's like when we saw the fake cannon rush in game 1. I can't remember which player did this in round of 16. But
yeah.
Fake cannon rush in game 1 into real cannon rush in game 2. You know, because that's going to be freshly in the mind. You've basically primed them to kind of think about something you did earlier. And, you know, it's not uncommon to see people do the same thing twice in a game or 2 similar things, right? Seeing the Marine there.
This is normal. This is like you always...
This is normal? Okay.
Yeah. When you make a Marine, you send it to check the Overlord and where it's going. Because they normally fly it down that path. And, like, if you get your barracks really fast and they don't send it on a smart path, occasionally you'll actually kill the Overlord or push it into a position where it takes longer to get where it wants to go. So, like, that's some normal stuff that he's showing. And now he's actually moving out. So he knows the Overlord isn't watching him. And look at the path it looks like he wants to take. Oh, no, he is going to go through the center. Okay. And he has other Marines coming from the second barracks. So this is just like, can Hero figure out what's happening and block this?
Hero is one of the best players in the world at holding things off with the bare minimum. In other words, he always has like an extra drone or two. Okay, he saw the 5. He saw 5, and so he's going to make a sunken colony in the back. Now this is
He's got a full drones.
actually really well placed sunks here.
Dude,
the one at the bottom can hit the bunker, right? He could be drone drilled here.
I think you're right. I think you're right there. Yeah, and he's going to have to... Oh, God. This just all looks terrible. This looks so bad right now for Hero. And the sunken is actually going to be taken out. That's too low health.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, man. It doesn't reach!
Oh, jeez.
It doesn't reach.
Wait, does the bunker not
reach the hatchery?
It doesn't reach the hatchery. That's insane. But it gets the larva that's over on that side.
And there's no way to micro the larva from the left side to the right side.
Yeah, you can micro him to the left side, but not vice versa. This is insane, man. Is he going to sunken push this now? Dude, I can't believe
Wait, does that hit?
That this is heavily coming down to stopping larva from being able to do anything. Okay,
no, he's going to just dive on the sunk.
Yeah.
SCV's attack. Oh my God. He was right-clicking that. He was spamming that.
Is that not a full bunker? Oh, it is a full bunker. Okay, and he actually just gets out of here. Okay, that hold from Hero was highly impressive.
Yeah,
but
really good.
It was actually still a good rush.
It was crazy. It's like the first sunken colony doesn't hit the bunker, but then the bunker doesn't hit the second sunken colony either. I'm like, wow. You know, some of these angles in Brood War can be so deceptive about who can do what.
Uh-oh. There's a Ling in the base. Yeah, no, I'm shocked. Like, that might have even been planned from him. That's some high-level stuff. I couldn't have done that for sure. Like, know exactly these locations based on where the creep is, like where the bunker can be placed. It's like, yeah, this one will support the second one. This one's far enough back that it's an overcommitment to go after it all the way right now, that type of thing. Crazy plays, crazy plays. But you know what? Hero right now, he's taking a third. Rush is okay here still. You know, he did good damage with that still. He's forced 3 sunkens, a ton of lings. He got kills. So there's like... It was still a high-quality move from Rush. I think that he's probably happy with it. Like, he wanted to win the game with it, but this position is great. Like, I'd be very happy playing from here as Rush.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so impressed with Hero in that hold there. That's just insane to me. Having the third base up as Hero is going to be really, really nice. We can see that Rush is blindly making turrets.
There's not even a layer started.
Just trying to.
Okay, now it's started.
Yeah. Well, it's up. It's going now. But yeah, I mean, you don't know what kind of game you're in, right? You went in for this aggressive move early on, and yeah, I mean, you have to basically try to counter everything that could be coming your way. But Hero's just getting started up here as far as tech. He basically droned up and is looking pretty strong. You know, it wouldn't be bad for Rush to move out, actually.
Totally. He'll force so many sunken colonies, because the sunkens that are at the natural aren't even good ones. It's like poorly placed against Marine Medic. And then he'll force them at the third if he can figure out there's a third. Like, this really... I don't know how Hero's supposed to win this game. I feel like with Rush, seeing how late that layer is, if you just start your factory, it almost doesn't matter what Hero does. Like, you're going to hit a siege tank timing push that is unbelievably strong. There's no way for him to get consumed before a siege tank timing.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is, you know, we never really talk about the matchup that way, but it's like that is kind of why you try to get the layer up fast, is that, you know, we never see games end with siege tank pushes in this matchup. Well, sometimes we do, but almost never. But it's because the rest of the tech is up before it can clean you off.
Yeah. You know, if you look back at old Terran vs. Zergs from the old Kespa days, they look completely different because the Defiler Rush wasn't dialed in. Like, you'll see 2 and 3 siege tank pushes. You see 2 factories sometimes. And it's like, none of that stuff works anymore. Now it's like, we actually have very specific timings where you check the queen nest health before you decide if you want to try a siege tank push.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, things just weren't as refined back then. You have, you know, hundreds of thousands of games played over, you know, several, more than 2 decades for people to finally get this, ironed out so perfectly that now we know that this type of play in the game is generally not doable anymore because the other side can tech into something quick enough that it negates any potential that kind of push would have.
This is so rough. I think he has to try to get Hive as quickly as possible here, too. And the way he's setting up his Sunkens is screaming anti-marine medic. He's trying to utilize those further back Sunkens instead of just making a new line, which makes it even weaker to his siege tank push. But, like, I feel like he should be able to identify that the siege tank push has to be what happens here. And if I'm him, I rush to Guardians as quickly as I possibly can. If he can make, like, a fleet of Guardians before he loses his natural, this game could turn around still.
It's a good point. Guardians are a very interesting alternative solution to that, where you can get them out much quicker while still having mutas here to tech around you without having to like rush into lurker and wait for consume and everything else.
And Guardians are just good because you have one starport only. You don't really have great tech to deal with that. The thing is, you still have other things too. Like, there's no great support for Guardians in that situation. I don't know that he's going to go Guardians, but I feel like that is by far the best choice he could make right now.
No, it's always worth considering. But the thing about Guardians is, like, they're super annoying, but you can kind of just weather the storm. Like, they're not as devastating as you would think. They do damage. You got to pull workers. You got to get defense. But it's not easy to continuously get value. You got to micromanage them a lot. It's very easy to overextend and they get shot down. Here are the 2 tanks, by the way. So let's see if we get that push coming up here.
All right, he has the Hive. We don't see any additional tech yet. We didn't see a Greater Spire. We didn't see Ultralisk Cavern. We didn't see Defiler Mound. He needs to go for something, and it needs to be fast.
So 3 tank push is on the move.
He's seen the tanks, right? I'm pretty sure he caught a glimpse.
I think he saw that, yeah.
3 tanks, man. He is going to bust through here so fast.
Yeah, unless he's overextended. The Defiler Mound's seconds away from finishing, which means Consume's about to start. I mean, there are a lot of sunks. A lot of these sunks don't cover the hatchery, by the way, so you can kill off... Oh, my God. He's got oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, God.
That was a money irradiate.
Oh, my God. They lost, like, half their health.
Oh, that was a perfect siege. I was like, oh, is that in range? It's so close.
Yeah.
That is so close. It's right exactly at the edge of sunken range here. Very, very well placed. And as you can see, like, Consume is being researched right now. It's just going to be too late. And where the Sunkens were placed, if he had stifled them a bit more, obviously it takes a little bit longer to push through. But, yeah, this is where you just stim forward as Rush, and I think he's done it. Like, this is way too much damage.
Yeah, the Spire's over here as well. I mean, I don't think there's enough sunks to keep this alive. The tanks are going to siege up, and it looks like Hero's been broken. In what was a really wild TVZ that we saw back here. The mutas are trying to get a little bit of extra damage. The last sunken colony is going to fall. Reinforcements arrive. And I think this game is done, Artosis.
It's way too much damage. Like, it doesn't even matter if he kills this whole army now. Rush is in complete control of this game. GG. And Hero is eliminated in the round of 16, something we do not say that often.
Yeah, Rush can barely believe it. And he's just getting started, man. He's got to go up against Smitty next.
Oh, those two have such good matches. They have such good
they really
matches.
do.
Remember him versus Mini in the finals of ASL? Where it was 7-game series with, like, 4 Nexus first from Mini. And all these carrier games.
Carriers all the time.
Oh, I can't wait. That's going to be a great match. Sad to see Hero go, but honestly, for the health of the tournament, better to see Hero go. We're not going to have 4 Zergs. Will we have 4 Protoss or 3, though? Rush is going to answer that for us here soon.
Yeah, guys, we're going to be going to a short break in a second here. And in that short period of time, Rush is going to have to move on into a completely different matchup versus a different player. He won the right to not be knocked out. Now he's going to have to close it out with a win to move on to the round of 8 coming up next.
브론즈급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
Woke up this morning, now watch me step. The week was murder, I'm gonna get rid of the stress. I'm feeling lighter, I'm finally feeling like I can breathe. The night is calling, tension, gonna blow in the breeze. We're rolling downtown, we're grooving to the sound. We're rolling downtown. The weekend's here and it feels so right. I think I'll break the skates out tonight. I'm gonna go out and have a good time. Ain't nothing gonna stop me tonight. Ain't nothing gonna stop me tonight. Gonna throw my clothes on, tell my crew what's up. Just wanna party, ain't nobody looking for love. The music's popping, this beat has got me feeling alive. Head to the strip, these wheels gon' light up the night. I'm living in a fantasy, come on and take a ride with me. I'm tryna put your mind at ease, let me know that you're feeling me. I'm living in a fantasy, come on and take a ride with me. I'm tryna put your mind at ease, come on and get down with me. Rolling down, grooving to the sound. Rolling downtown. The weekend's here and it feels so right. I think I'll break the skates out tonight. I'm gonna go out and have a good time. Ain't nothing gonna stop me tonight. We're cruising by the city lights. Can't wait to break the skates out tonight. I'm gonna go out and have a good time. Ain't nothing gonna stop me tonight. It feels so right. Ain't nothing gonna stop me
I would never give it up. No. Just wanna know your loving, baby. I'll always want it. You fill me up. Just wanna know you deeper. Open up for me, yeah. Sorry if it's too much. I just wanna be enough like you love. You love. It hurts me when you're not here. If it ain't you, it's no one at all. No at all. I just need one more breath without you. Ain't nothing left. Take my hand, we can dance. And where you are, I'll be there. I don't wanna mess it up. Just wanna love you better. Take out a little danger. Don't gotta be alone. I wanna leave you less lonely. Yeah. Sorry if it's too much. I just wanna be enough like you love. You love. It hurts me when you're not here. If it ain't you, it's no one at all. No at all. I just need one more breath without you. Ain't nothing left. Take my hand, we can dance. just need one more breath. Without you, ain't nothing left. Take my hand, we can dance. And where you are, I'll be there.
This is it, everybody. We're closing out the round of 16. This final best of 3 will decide who gets that last spot in the round of 8. And when we finish this best of 3, don't turn off the video.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be doing the selection for the round of 8 as well. We get to see who's going to face who before we wait a couple days and then go right back into ASL.
Always a very hyped moment to see what those round of 8 matches are going to be. We have some real potential bangers coming out as well. And still, there aren't going to be any Zerg vs. Zergs in the round of 8, at least. So we might actually go a whole ASL season without a matchup. That's a real possibility.
I don't know if that's happened before.
I don't think so.
Maybe it happened, we didn't notice it, but yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Sulky's got his fingers crossed.
Yeah, right? That's the matchup he seems to have struggled in before. But,
yeah.
All right, everybody. We're going to go to Dominator to start this off. Rush versus Mini. These are two guys that faced off in a previous finals of an ASL years ago. Now they're going at it right now in the round of 16. Okay, top left and bottom left. I am so excited to get into this match. Guys, our final plug for not just today, but the round of 16. Consider signing up for that Patreon. We want to earn your support. We love what we do. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. Patreon.com/ASL English.
Thank you very much, everyone, for that support thus far. Definitely check it out. We do have the Tastosis Secret podcast there as well. Where we talk about all manner of stupid things before each cast. All right. So, Dominator is such a cool map for Terran vs. Protoss, I think. There's just, like, so much variety that can occur here. You know? Like, you can definitely go very aggressive as Protoss. You can go very economical as Protoss. The same goes with Terran. Like, you can play some real greedy stuff here, and you can also like go highly aggressive. You can play like a big turtle game where you try to like kind of split the map. I don't know. It's just Dominator has become, I think, one of the really best maps that we see, and that's a 9 gate.
They've got a forward 9 gate.
Yeah.
We've seen forward 10 gates before. 9 gate just means it's out a little bit quicker, and so. You know, you can get the Zealot there a couple seconds faster. This parlays pretty nicely with Dragoons with range into trying to dominate the ramp. Now, a lot of Terrans still get their command center up on the high ground, but Protosses can take some pretty nasty fights on the high ground and punish pretty hard if the Terran miscontrols at all.
It's very, very true. You got to really keep your Marine health very high for this. And I think I mentioned this like maybe a few days ago in an ASL cast, where it really comes down to your early unit production. Like, for instance, if Mini goes like 2 to 3 Zealots into Dragoons here, that can be really hard to push up the ramp, but it becomes way easier. Like, if you make a second Vulture, I think that's an underrated move. Where if you make the second Vulture before add-on, you can bust up the ramp really quickly. That's actually something I learned watching Mihu, where he's like, nah, man, like, non-upgraded Vultures are actually great at the very beginning of the game. They're a fantastic unit for how quickly they can come out.
So I think a lot of times you get 2 Zealots, but I've seen 3 done before. Although when I see 3, I always feel like the Vulture gets the upper hand.
Me too. Yeah, I agree. I think 2 is the right play. Whenever I see 3, I'm like,
but
I think Terran's ahead.
But we see 3 a lot in ASL, and so I don't know if there's another rationale. I feel like it, because I always see it happen. Oh, look at you, gamer.
Okay, I've seen 2 different things here. I've seen, shield battery here, and I've seen actually people make a little bit of a pylon wall there to screw up Terran coming up the ramp. Like put some buildings to kind of choke it. Not a battery, but like a couple pylons near the ramp. Now he sees
It's going to be a battery.
Yeah, that's a battery to start. And we actually don't have rush microing, so that is huge for Mini.
Oh, God, get the Zealot off the ramp. It's got 2 HP. Oh, he loses it.
So important that he got that before the battery's done. That would have been
Oh my
so
God.
scary. Now, another Zealot is coming, which makes much more sense since you have the shield batteries. Up come the SCVs. He actually went up and, well, he did get some vision there, but he does have vision of the opponent's natural for drills. So that's important. But now the batteries are done, and he can heal these Zealots a lot.
He didn't quite use the one on the left, I think. Yeah, he's still got energy on that. This rush is backfiring, by the way. I think he still might be able to get a lot done because he's just got this battery still here. But I think he really needed to get that second Zealot healed so that he would have 3 Zealots fighting. And I think they can't get up the ramp then.
That was actually sick micro
I had
around
not
the shield
actually
battery.
seen this before, by the way. I guess you've experienced this, but I had not seen this specific move. But it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, on a map that looks like this, you play it for a few weeks and you're going to experience as Terran every single demented, deformed idea a Protoss mind can come up with. And this is definitely one of them. But it didn't really work. Like, Rush just kind of out-microed a little bit. You know, that third Zealot, you were talking about that. It's like it feels better when you get the Dragoon more quickly because the Vulture just comes out and starts to dominate Zealots.
I guess if you had 3 Zealots instead of 2, because there was a period where it was like 2 Zealots, then 1 fighting, then 2, then 1 fighting. And I think with a third Zealot and batteries, you can just strong-arm it. Even if they send SCVs to run up there, you kind of just like, okay, I'll fight the SCVs and I'll let them either be killed or sent back home, and then I'll eventually get to the, the important units, the Marines and the Vultures.
Little dance back and forth there with the Vulture trying to get out versus the Dragoons. It's like he tried to go out once, was forced back, and then he immediately tried again, thinking Mini would look away to macro or something. And he was right. Mini was just slightly slow and didn't catch that. But he's hunting it. Look at his Dragoon spread. He wants to find that Vulture. If he can get in range again, it'll probably die.
So he's going to fan these Dragoons back out. A third Nexus is going to be made, I think, at the top right, or maybe even further into the top right, actually. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I thought that there was a probe moving out there. It's a Dragoon. So never mind. He's going to stay on 2 bases.
He's just hunting the Vulture right now. And I love the 3-gate ad. I love it. I love it. I think that this is completely correct. Yeah, in these weird positions.
It does feel bad when you do it.
Oh, the 3-gate? Yeah.
Well, it just, you would want to get like 2 gates and a Nexus, but I think he knows he's behind enough that it's like, I don't want to just die to a push.
Yeah.
So I need to be ready for a fight. So 3-gate is the correct move. I agree with you.
Yeah, if you're playing a little bit blind and aggression could hurt you, 3-gate Observer stops everything Terran might have planned. Absolutely everything.
Right.
We've talked about this a few times, like with the best game against Sharp and everything as well. And we've definitely seen, like, it's gotten a little bit popular on ladder again. This used to be the standard for PvT after expansion. It was 3-gate Goon Observer, and it was just like super safe. And then it went away as people got greedy. But like this push that Rush might be planning here, maybe he pushes, maybe he doesn't. 3-gate Observer has potential to crush this and then maybe even counterattack for some damage. If you get the tanks, there's real potential.
But if the Terran doesn't push or doesn't commit and you can just take a third base, then the 3-gate feels kind of crappy. Like if they just make a command center out here and siege up because you can't punish. I always feel like if you know they're 3-gating, that's the play, is to kind of just slow play it and take your own third. Because then they have to stop using the 3 gates and expand themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the counter, is you just kind of sit tight, turtle up a little bit, and honestly, getting that Vulture up there, seeing that many goons and no gas, I think he has a good idea of what's going on. I don't think he'll move out. And this is where Mini just has to make the Nexus. Yeah, and he throws it down. Like, as soon as you get scouted like that, it's like, well, he's not coming. There's no way he's attacking. So Mini moves out for an attack. The Vulture's trying to rotate around to get some damage. Siege mode should be finishing any second here. So I imagine he's going to be safe. As long as he pulls some SCVs, make sure the bunker's being healed.
Oh my god. almost breaks in there with those. Okay, I love this push. This is a great... This is what you want to do, by the way, if you 3-gate and they don't come at you. Like, when you get about 7 or 9 Dragoons, the play from Protoss, and it's so cool to see it used here by Mini, is you go, they're not attacking me. Then you just run and attack them. And sometimes they don't have siege mode and you kill them.
Yeah, if you don't get siege mode
You
before they break the bunker, you lose.
Yeah. And I've had plenty of games. I remember seeing Bonneth do this a long time ago, right when I came back, and I'm like, wait, what is happening? Dragoons Dragoons are just like attacking into a Terran. Like, how does he know this works? And I was so perplexed. And then I tried it my own, and I'm like, okay, what? And now that I've been back and playing for a while, I see, okay, they want to get siege mode as late as possible. And if they try to expand and they don't get siege mode and they're too greedy, you can just run through there with Dragoons and kill them. Because Dragoons in mass will beat tanks if they're not sieged up.
Totally. This game so far, this has been one of the best back and forth early games. I feel like both players have played it immaculately. If you look at just because they both chose opening builds, right? So that's something that you have to do without any input from your opponent. And then since then, the back and forth that they've had as far as micro, movement, decision making, I feel like every aspect of all of that has been like perfect. I'm loving this game right now. It looks so well played on both sides. And like honestly, I'm looking at like I'd be pretty happy as Rush here, but I wouldn't feel like I'm going to win. It's like, no, there's plenty of fight left in Mini. It's not like I wouldn't call him behind here, but his position is fine, but he doesn't have like an advantage.
Yeah, I think you said that perfectly. The Reaver tech's going to be here. I don't know if this is going to be double Robo or single Robo, but I do think Reaver is just a good play on this map. You can see the Rush is already basically set up to try to fight that by having the tanks and turrets and mines in the main here, basically ready for any kind of big drops that would come in. And I don't know that we're necessarily going to have any huge drops yet. I think this is going to be more shuttles and Reavers used to try to fight and contain. But hold on a sec. Mini's actually looping around. And there's almost nowhere safe to land this. I'm kind of blown away he even found this little safe spot over here.
I don't think there's any real damage to be had here. It's like you kill a turret, you hit a tank once, okay. But there, Rush's setup is too good. He's too on top of what's occurring in this game. And I think Mini's timings here on everything is perfect as well. The Citadel, I love seeing the Citadel at this time. Because if Rush wants to attack, the way you're going to hold that is to have that speed upgrade. So he comes back around to the front. Rush trying to push out, whether this is for an actual push or he's just trying to get into position for a base, has yet to be seen.
So, good Terrans on 2 bases will get that Goliath range upgrade, and it just kills the shuttle so fast. Like you're seeing here, you've got to get away. You have to respect this. And it makes it almost impossible for the Protoss to really sandbag the progress of the Rush. So let's see how much damage Rush actually can do here, because he's getting very close to being to the point where he can seal up the entrance of the 3rd base.
This is very well timed.
Or the 2nd base,
yeah.
sorry.
This is very well timed from Rush. I don't think there's any other timing that he could have moved out at and had any chance of this working. But he's getting into position really quickly. You can see the Zealots just are not ready as of yet. Mini going to decide to take this on high ground because of missed shot advantage. He's going to get some Scarab hits. The shuttle almost dead right now. Ooh, that's a very good hit right there in that final Scarab from that one Reaver. But everything else explodes. Now, Mini does have some Dragoons up the ramp that kind of has slowed things down on like 9 o'clock, and he's going to bring those back out and try to slow this once again. If he can stop Vultures from coming up as Zealot Legs finishes, that's the key for Mini holding this.
Yeah, we saw 2 Vultures run by. I think they both took a lot of damage. Do we have Reavers actually in with this mix? I don't see any yet, but they could be hidden inside the shuttle. Here's one right now.
Oh,
he whiffed it. This is the difference between Mini, or Snow, I guess, and everybody else, I should say.
Yeah, that missed shot is so brutal. Oh, he does get a very good Reaver shot there, and in fact, might get another one. Yeah, really, really good shot. Kills some additional tanks, and these Dragoons are still catching units coming by. Every single Vulture that goes down is one less Vulture to help this push out. This little group of Dragoons, if he ends up holding this and winning this game, this group of Dragoons is the one that moves on to the round of 8.
There's just not enough from Mini, it feels like. The 6 factories are pumping so hard. The 4th base is up here for Mini, and it doesn't seem like Rush has identified that. I think there are some vultures maybe headed up there to hit that.
Dude, the pullback.
And you know what? Rush actually backs off. I can't believe it.
Perfect. You can't get better decision making than what we've seen from Rush this game. He really might just be the best Terran in the world right now. Unbelievable. I'm getting chills just looking at the decision making. Like, his push found the only timing where it could do something, and this pullback is 100% perfect. He did not lose too much. He killed as much as he possibly could. It was going to be diminishing returns. He's got plenty of units to set up his 3rd base. Look at the mass turrets. Look at his anti-drop. Look at his refill of the Goliaths. Everything he's doing is so dialed in. I can't add anything to this. I normally feel like, oh, he could do this one thing different and it would be better. And I can't see anything like that for Rush. He's playing just an immaculate game.
One thing about Mini is that he uses DTs a lot in the matchup in ways that we don't normally see. Like, we'll have players that have DTs guarding like a base that you could land at, but he has a couple moving out here on the map, and we've even seen him use them in shuttles at times in games like these. We have 2 more shuttles out here. I don't know if those picked up additional DTs, but this could be one way to really slow down progress. I always think back to maybe it was last season or the season before where Mini won a game where he killed the scanners in the main and the next roll, and
against Barracks on Apocalypse. That was such a crazy game.
Right,
one of the best ever.
Yeah, I was just like, that's one of the best games I've ever seen.
The drop defense is amazing in there. My God, doesn't that look good?
I don't think he should try to drop in there.
No.
I mean, he's definitely committed on holding that. So 3 base to 4 base. Mini probably going to be taking a 5th pretty soon here.
And, Rush, honestly, I think he should take a 4th. I don't think that there's good push potential right at this second. He has, a big army, has a strong army. But if you push, it's like that push kind of has to do it. If you don't set up a 4th base, losing a 3-base push isn't as bad as losing a 2-base push, but it's the next worst thing, I guess that's something that kind of always is the case. It's the more bases you have, the easier it is to reinforce, to remake an army. But yeah, it looks like he wants to push out here. This could be good for him. I mean, Mini is going for a counter with the shuttles. That's exactly what you want here as Rush. He's got a great defense in his main.
Yeah, let's see if this actually works out. He's going to be unloading everywhere over here. I think it's just Zealots and 2 Reavers, and this is pretty smart. He can do so much damage over here. Oh my God, and these Reavers are just going to eat these Vultures. Now, I don't think there's any Templars out yet, or if there are, he needs to be able to storm this army because, you can do whatever you want with this, but if this army can contain you, you're just screwed. A nice storm comes down here.
Wow.
Reaver doesn't get a shot off. The DT, maybe he can go quietly kill a couple units before Rush notices another great Psystorm. The counterattack coming back seems to have ran through some mines and thinned out.
Yeah, it looks like he was going for that counter, and then Rush already had mines in position to catch it on the way back. This is a game that Rush is going to take. This push, he's absolutely nailed it. His drop defense was just amazing, and Mini is not breaking this with that army. Not going to happen.
Yeah, I do like this shuttle here on the side. About as good of a flank as you could have asked for, but I think this game might be over here. The tanks are going to unsiege. They're going to gun down the remaining Zealots, DT, and Dragoons. And, right now there's 1 or 2 gateways that are not inside the main, but you can pretty much siege up over here, and the Protoss can't leave. And it looks like Rush should be winning this game.
Mini actually took that fight so much better than I thought. I thought that was going to be one of those fights where Terran loses 2 Vultures. But, yeah, GG. Mini, a little bit upset about that. But that was one of the best played TVPs I've ever seen. Ever. That was just amazing from Rush from A to Z. Everything he did, he nailed. The drop defense, the defense against the early game cheese, the attacks that he did when he pulled back, the execution of the secondary attack on 3 bases. He moved so quickly. He identified very little in the way of splash damage. He laid mines to catch the army coming back. Like, if he plays at that level, he might finally win his championship. If he can avoid Sulky, man, like, he is playing like a god.
I do feel like Mini could have done better with the batteries and the rush there. Once we saw it go up, I went, oh, this is really strong. This is really good. You just have to make sure you get the energy back on the Zealots. I mean, 2 batteries is a lot of recharges on 2 Zealots.
It
you
is.
know, get the 3rd Zealot there, get a Dragoon there. Mini, you know, I think he's the most emotional player we've got in ASL. Certainly looking upset. We're going to go to Polestar. Let's see who can take this, guys. Again, the final series here in the round of 16, Mini and Rush. Rush with a 1-0 lead. The audience gets their cheers out. And, man, Rush has really fought hard today.
He has.
I got to hand it to him.
Yeah. He's given himself
Mini's
every opportunity.
Yeah, Mini's still looking tilted in that short camera shot we had of him.
It's time for Nexus first. Let's cut to the chase.
I think so.
Just make your Nexus first. I don't know which one he wants to do, but I feel like that's where you go from here. You know, this is a big map. It's got a ton of bases on it. A lot of different paths you can maneuver around. I think it's a solid map for Nexus First. It's not one of those maps where I'm like, Nexus First is broken here, but like, you know, just a solid map for it, and he's very good at Nexus First, so that's just what I want to see.
It does feel like we haven't had as many Nexus First games this season.
You're definitely
There were
right about
definitely
that.
seasons where it was more common than uncommon. In fact, we almost found it novel if they didn't go Nexus First. Like, oh, okay, what's this going to be?
Yeah.
Especially if they played normally and they didn't just like do some kind of weird one-base cheese. You're like, so you're going to take a Nexus on 23. Look at you.
Well, people have actually not necessarily gotten better at breaking Nexus First, but just playing against it. It's like, yeah, it's hard exactly to explain. It's just like the understanding of how to play against it has evolved a little bit and where its weaknesses reside. And it is a Nexus First, by the way. But like, I can even notice it in my own play. I used to see Nexus First and just think I've lost. And now it's just like,
right.
I don't like to play against this, but that's okay. You know, it's like it's just as the understanding evolves, like different builds gain and lose traction. It's kind of wild, but yeah. Anyways, that is the Nexus First. He's not scouting at all at the moment, and Rush might scout him first here. Is he going to the cross spawn? I'm not
Look
sure
at the
exactly.
pathing.
Yeah, the pathing is.
I know. I think it's going bottom left.
Oh,
It's-
okay, you're right. Like
yeah, no, it's no. I thought the same thing for a second.
Yeah, it
when
almost
was moving
looked
diagonally.
Yeah, it almost looked like that. Okay, so the SCV comes quickly enough that I feel like you might switch this into the Forge version. No matter what you might have been planning, he throws the pylon down, and that can either be for a wall, or that can be for a Forge. And by the way, like if you go core with 2 Zealots here. I just ran into this the other day from like a high-level amateur Protoss, where it turns out you can go Forge after core if you're willing to sacrifice a couple Zealots.
Forge after core?
Yes, it's the most insane thing, because basically if you just send Zealots out, the push that breaks Nexus First with the Marine, Vulture, SCV, you send the Marines and Vultures first and the SCVs second because they move faster. And so basically you have to turn the Marine Vulture around or sit there and fight the Zealot. And it just slows it down just enough to get the cannons up. So I just want to throw that out there. That there's still a small possibility of Forge here, but it doesn't look like he's doing that.
My understanding is it's always Forge like right before your first Zealot.
Yeah,
and then
it
you
was.
just throw the Zealots into it
Yeah.
and make a cannon. And then like by the time the SCVs get there, the cannon's finishing. But he actually makes so. We saw, I think it was Snow do this. This is sort of a new way to hold this. That's very different, which is you basically just like zombies trying to get into your warehouse. You just like throw furniture at the door.
Yeah.
So they can't get in. Protoss sort of does that with their own buildings. And usually they get a battery behind it, but I don't see one right now.
Oh, he's pulling the Zealots to the side? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
He comes in, and the probes actually drill during this as well. And he's going to get... Oh, my God. He gets on top of the Marines there. That is absolutely huge. There is a bunker being made, though. And as that bunker finishes up, this becomes very difficult to hold.
Yeah, I mean, if the bunker's done and Marines get in it, I think you lose the base. And
Yes.
I think Mini just...
You should always lose
I
this
think-
base. This looks like... when you sacrifice that many probes trying to hold it and you still lose the Nexus, that's when Terran starts to run away with the game.
Right. I wonder if it would have been better to just go like 2-gate into like 2 Zealots into like maybe 2 Dragoons right away. Try to fight this. I'm not totally sure. I lose to this a lot, and I do the Forge opening. And I find that like if they like start with Marines just running across the map,
Yeah.
and trying to generate like a bunker, you can just lose the game. Like it's very hard to kind of keep control of everything that's happening.
Yeah, this is a really terrible situation. He's even made the tank before the command center. That's become very trendy lately to continue to put on that push pressure. And Mini looks like he's probably just going to go directly into Reaver. Yeah, like any good Terran here feels very confident in this game. Dude, he's missing every shot on that egg. It's so funny.
I know. I'm like, please move that up the ramp. Oh my God.
It's like he wants it down here to make sure there's no other shenanigans going on, but it's like, dude, you're never going to kill the egg. Okay, now you go up the ramp. Oh, he's stuck. Ah, the eggs.
I mean, from here, I don't know, man. I really don't know how Protoss is supposed to play. I guess you could try to just, like, get speed shuttles and, just start mass dropping their main. But I think this is, you all you have to do is have a proper build order as Rush and win the game. Like, you put your tanks at your ramp. You don't keep them on the low ground in your main. You just keep them somewhere safe. Maybe, like, 1 or 2 tanks on the low ground. But basically, if they try to do any funny stuff with drops, that just gets shot down from afar.
It
This
definitely
can't be good.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't be able to do much here as Mini. Even throws a missile turret down. He's really digging in there. On Mini's side of things, like generally it'll just be Reaver here, and you'll fly around, and eventually you'll break out and go double Nexus really quickly. Like sometimes Protoss will do an all in from here, but that just. Nothing feels good. Nothing feels good. I don't even have any tips for Mini here. This is like, what do you do to win here? Well, you've already taken so much damage. Rush is just sewing up everything. The fact that he has these mines, he's watching where the shuttle goes. He's throwing down a ton of missile turrets. Like, he did everything correctly. He identified, oh, you only have 1 gate. I'm going to go missile turret siege mode. If you go 2 factory here, maybe your turrets are a little bit late and the Reaver gets some more damage. It's hard to imagine a non-snow shuttle Reaver doing anything here. And he's flying over the mines. Like, Rush knows goons are being offloaded. Like, there's no surprise here.
Look, there's no world where Protoss should win here. You just can't be on 1 base versus 2 base and be contained, by the way. With a bunker to siege tank and mines and come back.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways a game can go in StarCraft. This is just, sorry, this ain't one of them. So I'm curious to see, what the next several steps are for Mini, but I don't think this is one where, especially at this, level of play, there's an easy solution. He's even completely sealed off his entrance. It's like, no, I'm not going to let you bum rush me. I've got my siege tanks neatly spread. I've got a ring of turrets around my base.
It's a perfect
I'm still making
defense.
SCVs nonstop. Yeah.
Let's see what he can do. Drops out that Reaver. Tanks some shots already. Okay. Well, he got that siege tank very low. Unfortunately, was not able to get just 1 more shot off on it. Oh, that's a really great shot. That's a great shot. So good so far.
Yeah, not bad.
Good so far. Like, this is great execution. He definitely, very, very impressive. But how do you make further? How do you
yeah.
go further?
Well,
there's so many
and
turrets.
he's still contained, guys. He's still in jail back at home.
This is really, like, he's doing so well. He's doing so well with it. It's truly impressive.
No, it's incredible.
But
I'm
you're not going
almost
to kill
forgetting
him.
to even play-by-play this. I'm just like being quiet and like looking very carefully, like, you're so good at this game.
We should really be quiet during performances like this.
Yeah, we should just have a moment of silence for Mini.
Yeah. Well, this is like in professional golf where when they're gonna swing, you don't make noise. It's like, okay, he's swinging for it. Let's go. Just be quiet, Taste. Let's just enjoy the mastery. Let's see if he gets any real damage. Yeah, he hasn't even broken through yet. He will break through now. And you can, like, you know, from here... Oh, that's so funny. The Marine came up and killed the very hurt Dragoon. You always go double Nexus from here. But it's so late. Oh, he killed the barracks. Do you know what? That's actually... That makes it a little bit better for Mini, you know? It was so bad, and I'm like, he's just gonna add his factories. But he just started the barracks again. So the barracks being part of the wall in the front and Mini picking that off actually bought Mini like probably an extra like 45 seconds plus in this game, where that's like 2 less vultures or 6 less vultures he'll end up having, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I don't know if that's gonna, we're going to see the effects of that here, but
yeah,
I really do have to hand it to Mini. It's kind of incredible to see him, still hanging here. He got SCV kills. He killed tanks at the front. He did break the contain. He is ready to take a third base soon, although he hasn't started that third Nexus yet. There's a probe over there.
Holding off this next push, you got to make some hard choices here. It's like, oh, geez, Tasteless. It's so bad. It keeps getting worse. I mean,
remember that he's been on one Nexus the whole time, so you're incrementing out probes at a much slower pace than someone who's been on 2 Nexuses, or in this case, 2 command centers.
Man. All right, so Tasteless, if you're in Mini's shoes, okay, what is the move that you try to make this work? Do you try to, like, I don't know, wiggle up to DT tech? Do you try to just go speed
storm in the shuttles? I think you play a very basic game,
like
with Reavers into like 4 Templars in a shuttle.
Yeah, and
try to keep them stuck on 2 base and try to storm it.
I think
going for storm in a shuttle, sometimes that's like the poor man's Protoss way to like have powerful tech that can win at the end. Is you can't afford carriers. You don't have the gas right now to support arbiters. But you could just get like 4 Templars and try to storm stuff and then run back away.
I don't know that he has enough time to get Zealot legs in a game like this, or enough production.
Yeah.
I almost feel like you have to just go Goons and Reaver and try to catch them unsieged and just get the best trades you possibly can.
Sure.
Sure.
Like, well, I mean, I mean, you'd be doing that and then be trying to get the Templar tech eventually.
Yeah,
is what I mean.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, like, this is not a game where I think, like, if you're able to hang and keep up, you're like, now I start my fleet beacon.
No, certainly not.
But I think you could make a few Templars and then try to get storms while you're using the Reavers, like we're seeing here.
Ooh. And I've been pretty critical lately about 5 and 6 fact attacks. This is 100% a 5 or 6 fact attack game. Like, you do not want to give Mini time for any sort of recovery. You gotta just go at some point here. The Vulture's running around and just laying like a few mines, just kind of keeping track of units coming out. Like, eventually you can just attack, move through stuff like this. And look, that shuttle's gonna go down. It's already hurt. Oof.
Yeah. Oof is the way to put it, man. This is rough. I mean, we had an exciting rush that basically worked. And now the Terran player is just, reaping the fruits of that by having a pretty easy push.
Oof.
And with the Goliaths in the range, I mean, it's just really hard to get these Reaver shots to work as long as those Goliaths are right-clicked on the shuttle.
He's doing
There
about
are
as
probes transferred to the third.
Yeah, he's doing about as well as you could ever expect with the Reaver. Like, he's microing it very, very well. He's going back in a second one. He's been on only 3 gate this whole time. He's just doing consistent production. His economy is just too low to jump up to the 6 or 8 gate that you would normally have in this situation, which is why this push is just so strong. It's just, you don't have a lot of muscle for Mini. When Terran is up in supply and they have a siege tank count that's this high, engaging it is incredibly difficult, and he's slowing it as much as anyone could ever slow this. Oh, pick it up,
Oh my
Mini,
God,
pick it up!
he's in rage. Okay, good job backing away there. That was so scary. The Reavers are the only thing he has, guys.
It is.
That's it.
It's the only thing that makes me feel like there's some tiny chance. But yeah, look at this. He tries to flank with goons, does absolutely nothing. Maybe he can cut off some reinforcements. The thing is, Rush is on 3 bases, and I guarantee he's adding stuff at home. The guy is up 40 supply. If it's up 40 supply in Protoss favor, you're like, okay, he shouldn't do this push. In Terran favor, yeah, this is incredibly, incredibly bad.
Oh my God, he's just got this cornered over here. I think that they might get another shot on the Goliaths. This is crazy.
Dude, those were good
it
shots.
eventually is ended. Oh my God, that got a lot.
Yeah. Very, very good micro.
Death's Door is knocking here. I mean, he just has to get these siege tanks up here and seal off this spot. I love the Dragoons counterattacking, by the way. This is definitely a smart move. But Terran has, achieved the winning conditions here. He can now wall in the Protoss and then divide and conquer, taking out the 3rd base. And, if there was a 4th, he'd take that out too. GG!
Wow. Wow. And Rush saves the ASL round of 8. We once again have perfect racial distribution. 3 Protoss, 3 Zerg, 2 Terran going to that round of 8. I tell you, that just increased the quality of the round of 8, in my opinion, dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
Dramatically. And as long as Light doesn't get snow, I'm like, all right, round of 4 is going to be good too.
Well, congrats to Rush. He did it. That was a hell of a day of games. Group D delivered. We were saying before, this is one of the best possible ASL days we could ever have, just with the lineup of players and the caliber of players I guess the caliber of games they're delivering here for us.
How do you think, with how it went, Tasteless? Are you surprised it's like 1st place Snow, 2nd place Rush?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
I thought Mini would play a little bit better. Like
Yeah.
you could see, he's got these really strong parts that are very unique in his play, and his style can be expressed, in a way that's different from other players. But he just doesn't have the Reaver control that Snow has. This Rush, by the way, I lose a lot of games that kind of look like this. Like, I'm still going for the cannon, but I've found, if they can just put enough pressure on you, it's pretty hard to get that cannon up. And in this case, he didn't even go for the cannon. He tried to block. But, I just don't understand. If you make a bunker, how do you stop that, right?
Yeah, well, leaving the Zealots on the outside, at first this kind of looked good, but... normally you don't leave the Zealots on the outside. Normally what the wall does is it zones everything back from you, and you deny bunkers on your side while you build up a Dragoon count and utilize the shield battery. Instead, he kept the Zealots out, he sent all his probes out, and that just added up to a ton of damage. You can see here, look at this, 21 workers against 17 at the end of that. Anyways, quick interview, and then we're going to go into the group, or the round of 8 selection.
The final round of 8 player of the season emerges here at ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot6, claiming victory in the decider match and moving on to the quarterfinals. Let's talk to Rush. Congratulations. Thank you. It wasn't easy, but you stayed alive in this group of death, and this is the 4th season in a row that you make the round of 8. How are you feeling? After I lost the first match, I kept playing, I kept warming my hands up. I started feeling the games were going well. I realized that if I can get to grips mentally, I can still win. I won. I feel really good punching through this group of death. Yes, I was worried you would be shaken mentally having lost to Snow in the first match, but the opposite happened. It awakened you instead. Ah, so that's what makes Rush so strong, I thought. Recently, whenever I play at home, I play stuff like Pro League, and I lose the first match, it wakes me up. I think the same thing happened today. The awakening let me win. And you took down Hero once more in the ever so important cul-de-sac, otherwise known as the losers match. You moved on to the decider match, besting Hero. The situation was 1-1. The third set was Eclipse, and you went for a 2-racks build. Yeah, it was a build I came up with yesterday during the day. When Jaedong finished streaming yesterday early morning, he was helping me. I tried it once, and Jaedong said, "Wow, this is bloody good stuff, this is going to work." So I used it. Oh, for a second there I thought I was speaking with Jaedong. This build where you make a barracks at 5 o'clock, something you came up with yesterday at dawn, you say. It seems to have worked perfectly in today's match as well. Now, the decider match against Mini. He tried a shield battery rush, but you stayed calm and blocked it. Your composure really stood out in today's matches. It's apparent you feel confident about TVP. It feels different depending on whether my hands work or whether they don't. With how I got that Zealot, my hands were clearly cooperating. I blocked that and I felt, oh, I can stop this easy. I thought, let's do our best. I cruised along and I think I play those games full with confidence. And in the end, you even dared to cheese him. Normally, when you rush Mini 10 times, he blocks it 8 times. Today, I got those other 2 games. And with that, it really seems today is your day. It's a good day, but you gotta move past that into the round of 8 now. The matchup is decided already. You have to play as Zerg no matter what. Yeah, I just found out. Sulky, Jaedong, and Queen are waiting. Truly, the cream of the crop when it comes to Zerg are waiting for you. Right. And which one of them do you need to face off to raise the chances of once again heading to that grand final stage of dreams? If we're talking about chances, then any Zerg but Sulky. But I have a feeling if I manage to beat Sulky, I can go even further. So I don't mind meeting anyone. Wow, so this battle with yourself continues even throughout this season. You're looking to best yourself still. This surely makes it hard for the fans and your colleagues not to cheer for you. Do you have anything to say to them? First of all, for helping me practice. Oh, I didn't think I would be getting interviewed. I didn't prepare. Stork, Best, Motive, YSC, Paralyze, Jaedong, and Soma. I got help from 7 people. You memorized this perfectly. Yeah, that went well, actually. And big thanks to the fans who came down to the studio and showed their support. And our Tongsundae members, they came down here and were supportive. Big thanks as well. The boss of our team for his hard work, Zeus, and my family for cheering for me from home. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you compete in the round of 8 as well. Congratulations on advancing. Thank you. And there you have it. Rush, the final survivor, making it into the round of 8 this season.
This was a fun round of 16.
Yeah.
So we've got Snow and Rush moving on. Congrats to them. This was a tough group. I think anybody who was confident they knew who was going to move on was crazy.
Yeah.
We had amazing games, and we saw stuff. I mean, for me personally, we had 2 games from Mini where he was doing stuff I've personally never seen.
As far as from my Terran point of view, that Dominator game was one of the best TVPs I've ever seen. I'm definitely going to have to rewatch that and kind of study the flow of what Rush did. It was amazing. So here's your top 8 players. 3 Zergs won groups and Snow won the other. And then we have both Terrans and a couple Protosses. Down at the bottom, of course, you can't play the player you already played in your group.
Right.
And it will be a top seed against a second seed in each matchup. So it'll figure itself out pretty quickly. We'll have Hyun Kyung drawn out the balls pretty quickly here as well. So definitely stay tuned because figuring out what these round of 8 matchups are going to be is going to be extremely exciting.
Yeah. So we're going to know in the next minutes, or next few minutes, excuse me, who is going to be versus who. and I'm very excited to see how this round of 8 lines up. Is Solky going to win again? Or is someone else going to take this? And then is Flash going to come back in the next season of ASL? We know he's been playing again. He was having some complications with his wrists and or forearms, so he decided to take the season off. But you have to imagine his return is imminent.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's getting a surgery, and I think he's actually getting one of the plates removed that's in his arm. So
I think so.
Yeah, hopefully
that's what I heard too.
Hopefully he'll recover pretty quickly because he's definitely good enough. Like people have messaged me like, "Oh, did you see Flash beat Sulky last night?" It's like, well, yeah. I mean, these aren't ASL games or anything, but like obviously that would be an unbelievable storyline to see that happen. Honestly, just based on the matchups, I feel like almost anything can happen in this tournament. Like Sulky, if he doesn't hit Zerg, I do think he wins. I don't think that any Protoss or Terran can stop him. I just in a best of 5 or more, I just don't see it. I don't see it. He's just better than everyone.
I mean, he looks really good. I was really inspired by Snow's play today, but I don't know if that's going to compute into a win versus Sulky. I think Sulky right now, he seems to not only have a very good way of approaching the meta, he seems to know each of the players really well and whatever flaws they have.
Yes, that's certainly something that we've seen from him. I mean, his mind game's super strong. So let's go ahead and start this out. I think she's going to draw those first seeds first, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, let's do it. I love when she starts stirring it when there's like 2 balls in there, by the way. That's always my favorite part. When there's 2 balls left and she stirs
right,
them.
and you're like, well, which one is it going to be?
Like how dumb would you have to be to not be able to keep track when there's only 2 balls that you're stirring of which one's which?
Here we go.
I like how none of them are switching position either here. It's just like moving around.
Yeah, they're just kind of going in a circle. When they're going left and they're going right. And
what is it? Who is it?
Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 Queen. Okay. Wait, she does everything from the one. Yeah, that's right. So we don't know who Queen's first yet. So we got to see if it's going to be another Zerg or maybe Snow for the players that got out first. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.
Jaedong. Okay. You know, I was actually going to say, if I'm a Zerg player, I want to play. Wait, no, what? No, he'll be next to him. Oh wait, no, never mind. I'm sorry, I was looking down, not the other way.
Oh,
so.
I did the same thing. I
I'm
did
like,
the
it's not
exact same
Queen
thing. I
versus
thought it was
Jaedong.
top versus bottom.
Yeah.
Like, no, stop.
That actually would have made more sense. Looking at it this way is really weird, but okay.
This is actually breaking my brain right now.
Yeah.
Snow goes in the middle to the right.
Yeah, he'll be on week 2.
All right.
And then Sulky is the last to play.
guys.
You know, on Sulky's behalf, I would, if I'm Sulky, I want to play first. But he plays the latest, which gives people the most planning time to try to come up with stuff to mess with him.
Good point. Very good point. Yeah, he's got at least 2 weeks off. Or, I mean, people have 2 weeks to prep for Sim, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, guys.
Now, I want to throw this out there. Like, if you are light, you want Jaedong. 100%. And in fact, if you're Rush, you want Jaedong as well. Like, he is the easiest one for the Terran players here.
I bet it's going to be Rain.
But you'll take Queen as either of them, too. All 4 of those guys are... Okay, best versus Queen. That's a good match.
That's an even match, I think.
That's
a
good
match for sure.
I think Queen is a little bit ahead on that one, but that's a good, solid match.
Sure.
I'm excited about that one.
But, you know, I think it's very doable for Best. You know, Best never seems to perform well on round of 8 specifically. That's where he gets tangled up and killed off. So it'll be fun to see if he can maybe push it into a round of 4.
Now, if this is a Terran player, the Terran player is going to be very happy. It is a Terran player.
Rush, light.
Light. Okay, Jaedong is probably very sad right now. This is the worst matchup that he could get. Light is the perfect counter to Jaedong. The perfect counter. No weak points.
Are we gonna
perfect
have
macro. So we already know the final
PvP
matches.
Here.
Yeah. It has to be Rush versus Sulky. And there you go. Snow vs. Rain. That was ASL Finals once upon a time.
Yeah, I remember they used the snow and rain graphics for that, and I thought, oh, look at you guys using their IDs and then making the weather effects and the thing. So this makes it Sulky versus Rush. Cool.
What do you think about the matchups? Is there one that stands out to you as like, this is a great match? Best versus Queen looks
I think
best
I'm
on
most
paper to
excited
me.
for Best Queen.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, Sulky Rush is going to be good, but I don't think Rush stands a chance just because Sulky's so good. I am excited for Snow Rain. I mean, these guys are really good at PvP, and I think Rain really thinks differently from Snow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no matter what, we get a Protoss in the Final Four there with the PvP, and then we just got to see if Zerg survive or Terrans or Protosses push through. So a lot of different ways this Final Four could turn out.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's like the PvZ Queen versus Best that looks like the best match, and actually the second best match I think is the PvP, which is kind of a rare thing.
Yeah.
I really do think I want Jaedong to play well and have a chance against Light. I just don't see it. And I want Rush to play well and have a chance against Sulky, and I just don't see it. I think that those two, Light and Sulky, that's the best of their respective races. They're not people that you can really pull a fast one on, and that makes it tough. That makes it tough for those two matches.
So we've got our brackets on screen for you guys here, just so it's crystal clear. I didn't feel like that first graphic they showed was exactly clear about what was going on. So we're going to have, as usual, 2 best of 5s, next week, and then the next 2 best of 5s after that. And, we'll be back, week after week until eventually we get to those finals. So about 3 more weeks of ASL, and then we have a short break, and then we get the finals.
I think the finals, Tasteless, are going to be Sulky 4-1 over Light. That's my prediction right here. I see Light making the other bracket.
Ooh.
I think Light beats Jaedong. I think Light beats Best. And I think Light Queen is really good, but I think Light squeezes that one out just barely. And down, I mean, Sulky has no Zerg on his side. It's exactly what he wants. That's the only factor for Sulky, man, is he doesn't have to play ZVZ.
Oh, these are best of 7s. Okay, I stand corrected.
Oh, no
For some reason,
way.
I thought they were best of 5.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Did we change that?
Yeah, that's new.
Or maybe we started this last season. I have so many seasons of ASL. I know we used to be best of 5s, but
best of 4s were round of 4s were best of 7s last season, if I recall correctly. But
okay,
yeah, best of 7. That's insane, man. Or are they going to do best of 9 finals? Where are we going with this?
Yeah,
best
we
of
need
69.
To figure out, how many
nice.
games is too many games. Yeah, best of 420, guys. So that'll be Monday. We will record that Tuesday. So that'll be out either Tuesday or Wednesday for you, depending on where you are in the world. But if you've been jumping into the videos right when they're uploaded, they're pretty much uploaded around the same time. The soup staff gets the videos around the same time because Tastosis sends them in. And then I'm basically up, I'm either having my coffee or I'm streaming and I'm waiting for them to ping me when it's uploaded, and I put it on Patreon. So, we haven't been late on any VODs. We don't expect to be late on any VODs in the future here.
Yep.
This is the matchup Tastosis was talking about, Jaedong versus Light. I do agree with Tastosis here. I think Jaedong looks really good, but against solid Terrans, he doesn't seem to have any kind of answer. He doesn't, if it was against a solid Protoss, I'd be like, yeah, he can beat anybody. ZVZ, yeah, he can beat anybody. ZVT, he seems to have his limitations there, and he's going to have to work really hard to figure out exactly how to beat someone like Light. And, Light just doesn't lose to silly stuff.
He does not.
Light, you have to beat him in like a crazy mid-game or a crazy macro game with Defilers. And he really is the best in the world at that kind of straightforward macro-style matchup.
You just got to play like a real perfect game. We saw with Sulky versus Light last season. Sulky demolished Light. It wasn't even close. But no, it doesn't feel like any other Zerg has a good chance against him. Maybe Hero when Hero's playing well, but obviously he didn't make it this time. The Snow vs. Rain rematch I'm really interested in because Snow looked way better than Mini, but Rain historically looks to me to be the best PvP player. His Protoss vs. Protoss feels like Flash's Terran vs. Terran, where I'm like, no one's close.
He goes DTs a lot, and he seems to have, for whatever reason, a better... he's able to get ahead in mid-game, which is extremely important in PvP. And I'm not sure how to I guess, explain that to you guys other than I see it. It could just be the sheer raw amount of experience he has at playing the other players and seeing how they move. But never count Rain out.
Rush has a long time to prepare for Sulky here. The best of 7 just plays into Sulky's hands more, though, because he's a Zerg that just absorbs you. He's going to absorb your various strategies. Like, what Terran has any chance to beat him in a best of 7? Maybe Royal. Because Royal has the best cheesy technical play in the world by far in this matchup.
Right.
But if I'm Rush, I'm going to Royal for build orders. I'm going to Flash for build orders. You know, I'm pulling out all the stops here. I'm talking to Light about what he's working on against Zerg for his side of the bracket. You know, like, you got to have some special stuff to take him down.
Guys, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider signing up for the Patreon at patreon.com/ASL English. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.